Greetings, birthday bros. Welcome back to Miku's Crackhouse. This is episode 108. I'm your host, as always, Sam Kingma, and joining me is my best friend and co-host, Myles J. Myles, happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Episode's coming out on May 5th, but if you guys are new listeners, if you guys are Season 2 listeners and don't know, Myles and I were both born on May 7th. Myles, 1996, me, 1997. So we share a birthday, and each year for Crackhouse, or the last 4 years we've been doing Crackhouse, holy fuck.
Oh no, it's only 2020, 2021, fuck. Shit. Fuck! No!
We'll be celebrating our 4th birthday doing the show. Because it's weird because we started the show like 6 months before, like 6 weeks before our birthday, first week of May. And then we took episode 100, which was the 3rd birthday boy special, and then we took a break for 10 months. And then we came back, and now we're celebrating number 4 already. So it's like,
yeah, so
if you're listening to the show in retrospect, fuck. If you listen to the show, you know, retroactively, if you're going through the archives, you know, the Crackhouse
which is why I recommend
archives.
taking a 10-month break in between in between episode 100 and episode 101.
Yeah. So you can feel the distance. You can feel the
That's why I feel those people who have not played Breath of the Wild in the last week need to take a 6-year break between this and Tears of the Kingdom. If you haven't played Breath of the Wild at all, wait another 6 years before you're allowed to play Tears of the Kingdom. That's what I say.
That's fucking awesome. I mean, I was thinking about it in the shower before we hopped on the call, because, you know, we're 10 days away from Tears of the Kingdom. Biggest Nintendo Switch release IMO in the last like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm excited. I'm getting now that we're close. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm getting a little excited. I'm getting excited.
Yeah, I mean, I've been excited. I've been excited this whole time. So first of all, I just want to address that I'm wearing the most embarrassing shirt that I've had on the show thus far. Did I wear this last week? Do you remember?
I think you might have worn it not last week, but maybe the week prior.
I wore it in a scrapped episode. That's the thing. I wore it in a scrapped recording session. So I don't know if people have seen the Dunkin' Donuts shirt before.
Yeah.
So
show everyone
Sam,
what. Hold on, take a stand. Let's see. Well, who gave you this? What's the backstory?
So the backstory of this, Sam, is that I received this when I was accepted to school. I was going to school in Boston. Boston, of course, the home. And by the way, if anyone thinks that's doxing, Boston's the fucking university fucking city of America. There's like 30 fucking colleges there. But Boston, home of Dunkin' Donuts, home of Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, the famous film Good Will Hunting, produced by Harvey Weinstein.
Good donut hunting.
Yeah, good
Dunkin' hunting.
Good dunks hunting. So we call it dunks there is the important thing.
Oh, really? Is that the proper terminology?
We call
go to dunks?
Yeah, you go to dunks. It's sort of like how I was joking. It's like with by the way, want to talk about games that fell off Nicktoons All-Star. People just called that game Nick when they were trying to, you know, yeah, some people were just trying to call it, yeah, people who were trying to call it just Smash, you know, Smash. You hear Smash, you know what you're playing, right?
Yeah.
You hear Smash, you know what you're playing. No one calls it Injustice, Gods Among Us. They say Injustice,
it's
right?
Injustice, yeah.
Yeah. So no one says Nick, but people do say dunks. And Sam, for our birthday, I got us Dunkin'.
Oh, man. So, I got to ask you, Myles, how do you feel about the rebrand and name change? Because just in case people don't know, Dunkin' Donuts actually, like, officially changed their name to Dunkin'.
They gave me just chocolate frosted, not double chocolate frosted. No!
Wait a minute. Wait, double chocolate frosted?
This? Yeah, so the donut should be...
Is that different than glaze, like a chocolate glazed donut?
It's chocolate glazed, but there's frosting on top of it, and I got 2 of these, and now I one of them's fucking wrong, and they're both stale. It's the worst Birthday Boys episode ever.
Well, hey, man, I mean, I if you're not gonna eat, though, okay.
No, I'm fifth. I'll absolutely fifth. But I will eat it off camera so that the show is not insufferable.
Yeah, so the rest of that donut will go down in the next 90 to 120 minutes.
I might peck at it through the rest of the episode. But Sam, I want to talk a little bit about Zelda. In particular, I want to talk a little bit about a project that I was working on. I wanted to do a big video about Breath of the Wild before Tears of the Kingdom came out. And I had an idea. I had a great idea for it. I was sitting in bed, I said
you had a dream, if you will.
I had a dream. One where I take drugs off the streets. And to do that, I must become a gang star.
A dunk star.
A dunk star, dude. I must take a stand. Oh, fuck. My
How'd you get your fucking cable stuck?
I did. Oh, this
man,
production's
dude, that's
a
why
nightmare.
I'm team wireless headphones, guys. That's why you gotta wear wireless.
I used to. You remember I had AirPods, and for some reason they just don't connect to my PC anymore because it's a piece of shit apparently. So even though I have a great ass PC, it does everything except for fucking connect my fucking Apple AirPods properly. It's so
and
stupid.
also you have the worst running version of RetroArch I've ever seen.
Yes,
on your PC.
that's the other one. That's the other flaw with my PC. Oh, and also the fact that even though it's an incredible machine, Premiere still runs like shit.
Yep.
I did figure out how to optimize it. I had a great idea on how to optimize it, but it still runs like dog water. But I said, oh, I have this great idea for a video. I want to do it. But I realized not really a video essay guy anymore. I don't know. It's just
you've hung up your analytical coat and glasses.
I mean, like, that's the thing. I'm always going to be analytical, but like, I just don't think I like the idea of, sitting in front of a script and saying like, on March 3rd, 2017, Nintendo released their seminal release, Breath of the Wild, or like whatever, doing the intro, doing the thesis, like all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, you know what, as much as I want to do this video and as much as I want to get it out before Breath of the Wild is done, I'm like, I just don't know if I want to do the video essay thing. There's a lot of great, people who are doing video essays, but there's a more personality-driven element to it. A little bit more of a face and a name to it. I don't know.
You and I talked about like Action Button and stuff.
Yeah, Action Button. I referenced
Tim
Cool
Rogers.
Ghosts, who I like Cool Ghosts. They're kind of a dead channel now. They don't do anything.
They haven't uploaded in 3 years.
They haven't uploaded in 3 years. But like their work was very like fun. They were very like passionate, a little flowery, a little like prose, poetic. But like they were just very like, I don't know. They had a very beautiful view of games and games that weren't even necessarily beautiful. Like they have a great discussion about Hitman where they're talking about like the best part of a Hitman level is when you walk out of the hot zone by chopper or on land. And they're like, you're safe, you're free to go, and you can run to the exit point, but that would be like carefully peeling an orange and then shoving the whole thing in your mouth. It's like, no, you want to walk out slowly. You want to savor your victory. Just like, I don't know, those kinds of like, those things that video essays don't cover because they're trying to be a little too like objective, right? When there's a lot of like,
they're just trying to hit every single possible fucking point there is to make in their video. Yeah,
and like, whereas you have like a, like I tried to watch a Nakey Jakey video today because I'm just shopping around. I'm seeing what works for me.
Yeah.
And like that doesn't work for me. Like the excessive editing, like the jokes, which are just tangents, like how long it takes. I realized I was watching a video that he uploaded recently, and I looked at the time, and I was only 4 minutes in, and I was like, oh, I thought I was like 7 minutes into this video. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I love Nakey Jakey for his editing style.
His editing's awesome. I mean, it's similar. Like, there's a lot of like, I don't know. That's sort of like a YouTube comedy channel, which I respect.
Oh,
and I like.
Totally. Yeah, I think the views on his videos speak to them being more like general good YouTube videos than like gaming content.
Yeah. Because you have like gaming videos that, like, Joseph Anderson goes viral every time he releases a piece of shit contrarian garbage video where he complains about a game that's.
But I feel like people only in video games really have to give a shit about.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
And that's the difference, where like Joseph Anderson will never like cross over into like the bigger, like Nakey Jakey can release a video where he talks about how every game was glitchy in 2014, and like people who are just kind of casual hobbyists or like people who play like one game a year, are probably going to watch that video as opposed to like whatever Joseph Anderson limps to the barn with. You know, you have to be really into the not just games, but the idea of like games criticism as like a form of entertainment and as a form of content that you just devour and consume. You have to be the kind of person who says like, oh, not only do I care about Elden Ring right now, I would really like to hear people's just fucking 5-hour thoughts about Elden Ring, even though,
dude,
by
imagine
the way,
your Miles, imagine your like mom walking in on you watching like Joseph Anderson Elden Ring analysis or whatever. And you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, she would be like, why is he so wrong? she would be like, what? Like I would tab over to porn if my mom caught me watching a Joseph Anderson video. I would tab over to porn. It doesn't matter what porn it is. All right, I could be watching the freaky shit. I would tab over to that. And my mom would be like, oh, you know, what's squat cobbler porn? I was about to say, what's the thing Saul made up for? You remember the episode where he forges evidence for the drug dealer? He tells them he did adult videos where he sits in pies and cries. Yeah, squat cobbler. Yeah, so I would switch over to my squat cobbler porn instead of letting someone know I'm watching a Joseph Anderson video. Yeah, like, so I was just kind of shopping around, you know, just to kind of see, like, what formats and what people are doing that kind of interest me. Because, like, I don't know, I just don't, like, I love the idea of working with the free camera and just getting, like, this really, like, great visual element. But, like, the writing style, the presentation is what's kind of fucked up for me. Like, just the script aspect of it doesn't really work. It's not what I want to do anymore. And so, like, I'm kind of just, like, reshopping, reevaluating, but that did take me on a huge rabbit hole.
Yeah, I gotta know, dude, what other channels you watched, man? Because you're entering my domain. It's like fucking Jujutsu Kaisen over here.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so I don't remember half the channels that I watched, but I watched more like video essays than I usually do.
You know what? Miles, what you can do is you can actually go on your YouTube account. You can go into history and like scroll through.
And look. But I'll tell you the one channel that I watched a lot of. It was the guy who made the KFC video. You remember that What's Wrong with KFC video?
Austin McConnell. Oh yeah. My god. So that's a channel I really loved. Like, I loved it back in like 2016, 17, 18.
That's the thing that I want to bring up. Because
he fell off so fucking hard, dude.
Exactly.
Like, his content nowadays sucks. And it sucked for like 2-3 years. And it's really disappointing because like, the KFC video is fucking awesome. The I made a movie video, it sucked. It's so good. Oh, that video is so fucking good, and I cannot believe he makes garbage now.
That was the one I watched. That was the one that I watched, and he said something to me that made me realize, like, oh yeah, this whole Breath of the Wild thing.
He said something directly to you, Myles.
He said, Myles. He said, first of all, happy birthday, and second of all,
we had to travel 18 miles.
Yeah. Well, he's in Kansas, so yeah, much further than that. But
yeah, he's out in Missouri. Shout out.
Yeah, Springfield. But where he was like, I wanted to make something just to say that I made it. Like, that's not passion, that's vanity. And I was like, yeah, now that I think about it, I only really wanted to make video essays because that's what I used to do, and I want to be able to say, like, guys, I still got it. I could do it again. It's like, no, it's time to grow up. It's time to do something else. And that's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to kind of, I still have my passion for games. I still want to do stuff with it, but to say like, you know what, this just don't work for me. It's not my interest anymore. I was good for a while. I was pretty good at it. But I don't want to do it anymore. And so that was like a really great video, and like it was very good to hear. And so I was like, so what else has he done? And I looked at his channel, and like everything's got like 100,000 views, even though he's a million view channel or a million subscriber channel, and like it's all like bullshit. It's all like so I have the best term for this. Well, it's not the best term ever, but I have a good term for this kind of channel, and I call it your younger sister content. It's the content that, like, if you have a sister who's 2-3 years younger than you, or like, you know, even a couple years younger than you, right? Like 1 to 2 years. And they just like, they're because we're the cutoff of like the TikTok generation. Like, you and I just aren't like that. We just don't do that. But I think a lot of people just a little bit younger than us.
A couple years younger, yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
they will go on YouTube and they'll just watch fucking anything that shows up in their recommendeds, right? And so like, and a lot of what ends up in recommendeds is like the Mr. Beast style, like I did the thing videos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Beast saying I bought a private island. Yeah,
I got every fast food deal. Like that's one I saw recently.
The secret menu. That's a pretty fun video.
Yeah, secret menu video. Sam Reed, I think is the guy who did that.
The secret menu video is pretty fun. And yeah, like I sent you a Coney video that I loved.
Oh, that was an awesome fucking video, dude. Coney's great, and that's
the
typically
brawl,
not
like weird history thing. Yeah,
yeah. There's by the way, Turn Down for Walt is another great Smash documentary channel that covers like weird matches, or peculiar games, or like Smash.
Sets.
Four sets.
Sets.
Yeah, thank you.
Because everything about that set is like, and the fact that he was there is great, but everything about the set where like he's just like it's just a layer cake. He's just slowly unraveling how bizarre this set was. Like it's from bad to worse to worse to worse. Where like they go to an illegal state.
Yeah, they play on green greens.
They play on green. And when he says the words green greens, like there is this hint in his voice where he knows what he is saying will be so shocking to you, even though he knows this information. He's not shocked by it. He is fully aware that what he's about to say will shatter your world. And there's a couple of good deliveries like that where he shows a silhouette of Snake and he says he played Donkey Kong, and like it just hard cuts to like a PNG image of Brawl Donkey Kong, like that. The pose that he makes in that game, where you're just like, what? Like someone, because and just like the sheer like the balance of it of like Donkey Kong is terrible except in this one matchup against Marth, who is pretty fucking good. Like he's got a pretty even spread of matchup types, whereas Donkey Kong has terrible matchups except for against Marth, so they went to greens, and it's just like the most like obscene. It genuinely is like Fargo, where like Fargo is just like the stupidest, smallest little thing, just like escalates into chaos. That's not your little sister content. Your little sister content is like. It's like a Jenny Nicholson video. I like Jenny Nicholson for the most part.
No, these channels are good, by the way. You know, like these channels that do this kind of like
the James Corden videos. James Corden ruined my life. That video essay, like
Hugbees is a channel I really like that does stuff like this, where he's like I roasted every Super Smash Brothers character.
Yeah, like just very fun like throwaway content. It's them at their laptop with the picture of the person on the laptop or like whatever, you know, on the screen, and them just very like blasé, just going through exactly what happened with their kind of deadpan humor or their little quips and their little jokes. And that's fun. That's very fun. But like he went from doing these like really great like personal video essays or things that were like interesting curiosities, like just exposing like bizarre ass like scenarios and situations, and now he's just doing like like literally if the movie We Bought a Zoo didn't exist,
it's a YouTube video, dude. It'd be a fucking YouTube video.
It would be a YouTube video.
Mr. Beast fucking I bought a zoo.
Yeah,
you know?
I bought a zoo, and it's him fucking a zebra. It's his cock deep in a zebra's pussy, and just.
It's him and his fucking giant hippos in the background chasing him.
Mr. Bestiality.
Oh boy.
Sorry, I'm back on the bestiality bullshit. I watched
Jesus
the fucking...
Christ, it only took you 2 months. Oh my God.
I watched the fucking video that, like, there's just something so fascinating. What I love about true crime is not, like, the murder stuff. It's, like, the people who are, like, criminals breaking laws that are, like, either sexual deviancy or, like, degeneracy of some kind. Like a Wings of Redemption, like people who just ruin their lives with like they rob a liquor store after like 10 years of just mental collapse.
He did not rob a liquor store.
He didn't rob a liquor store. No, but like that kind of thing, or like Yig Studios.
Did you?
Yeah, Digi, Yeeg Studios, whatever.
By the way, R.I.P. Procrastinators podcast. The last we're down to 2 members and one of them left. So now it's just one.
It's just gonna be one person. Yeah, like just when you hear like people who are arrested for what would be YouTube drama if they were more relevant.
Yeah.
I always like
or what about like EDP? Like when EDP got caught in that in that predator sting.
Yes, like that sort of thing. Like people who I think I like sex crimes as far as true crimes go, but specifically like people who either didn't get away with it, like they got caught, or they did get away with it, but they're horrible monsters and no one ever liked them in the first place. Again, Douglas Brian Spink is probably my favorite true criminal. Like, just because because the thing you have to understand about Douglas Brian Spink is that he was a literal multimillionaire with a successful business, and he conquered the .com bubble. Like he lived in a mansion. He was famous in his hometown. He was a brilliant entrepreneur. He went to, I think, one of the top 3. Yeah, he went to Booth, one of the top 3 business schools in America. And he died of anal cancer, like prostate cancer, at age 52 as a 4-time felon who spent 20, 30 years in prison, in and out of prison and on probation, because he wouldn't stop fucking his champion show horse who was worth $7 million. Isn't that the most amazing story about a failure that you've ever heard? I think that's the best way that I would describe it. I like failures, and most failures tend to be sex criminals.
Now, Myles, we've talked a lot here today about true crime. I gotta know, how do you feel about fake crime? You fuck with Law and Order SVU at all? You fuck with that's all fucking sex crime, dude. Yeah. You ever watch the Gamer episode? You ever watch the Gamer?
That's a favorite of mine.
Dude,
I love that episode.
That episode. So I actually caught it on TV a month or two ago. Because let me just say, for people who watch Law and Order SVU, when an episode opens up before the intro sting, and it opens up with the following episode does not depict real world events, people, or places, or whatever.
The disclaimer.
You know it's going to be a juicy one. You just know it's going to be a juicy one. And then it opens up at a fucking gamer convention. I'm like, oh, it's this one. Oh my God. So
these guys just don't like women in video games.
Okay, yes, you understand that no one would ever. That's a crazy thing to say to someone. But after you were attacked.
Not only that, but she's fixing her makeup after being raped.
Dude, she's trying to get the fuck out of there. It's what the fuck's going on?
And that's the thing. I don't remember the exact extent of the sexual assaults. I assume that it was just rape, because just rape. I'm sorry, everyone, but
if I recall the episode correctly, two men assault her in the women's bathroom at the convention hall or whatever.
Yeah, where it's a it's a case
that's what happens in the episode.
Default crime. They don't describe it. They you kind of just know.
It just she gets attacked or whatever in the
assaulted in some way. And she's got a black eye, and she's doing her makeup trying to cover the black eye in the convention center. She should leave and talk to the police.
Yeah, and the blonde detective so here's the part that this shit rocked my core and made me so mad I just fucking walked away a minute or two after this because I'm this sucks. This is horrible. Is that fucking Ice-T fucking Finn and his partner, whose name I don't know, but it's it's not the old guy, it's the sort of younger kind of blonde hair partner he gets in the later seasons, in the 2010 seasons. Because that's when this episode came out.
This would have been 2013, 2014.
2015 or 16, I think. Because Gamergate was 2014.
But I think it was hot on the heels of Gamergate. I think it was hastily produced. I do think 2015 is correct, though.
Okay. Yeah. Regardless, mid 2010. So whatever partner Finn had in the mid 2010s of SVU, they're at this gaming convention, and they're watching some esports shit happen on at the front of a crowd or whatever, and someone comes running, and it's the two of them and then the female blonde detective who's always getting in trouble on the show, who always, I feel like whenever you walk in and she's the primary person in a episode, it's like, oh, she's doing something bad, or she's gonna get arrested, or she's gonna get her badge taken away. Let me tell you, man, Law and Order SVU not kind to the blonde detectives and lawyers that they work with. They all have problems. If you like go look at all the blonde characters, all the blonde women in Law and Order SVU who are like
YouTube.com/compilation of blonde characters getting their badge taken away.
Either getting their badge taken away or getting sent to like Alcoholics Anonymous camp to be written off the show, like, you know, all this stuff. But anyways, they're watching this like tournament, and someone like comes up to them and was like, "Oh my god, I think someone was like attacked in the woman's bathroom." And she's like, and the blonde detective, she's ready to go. She's like, "All right, let's go, guys." And fucking Finn and the other guy are not, don't give a fuck. And I'm like, this would never happen. I've watched like 70 fucking plus episodes of this show. They wouldn't just be distracted by this Doom knockoff on the screen.
So your problem
was not... like, my problem is that like it was so fucking, oh man, aren't games toxic, that even these characters who would never do this in any other episode, they're gonna do this now to prove a point.
Your issue was the implication of the content, like for the characters.
Exactly. That's the problem. There's a similar, a hard fucking right swerve here, but there's a similar issue. There's a very infamous episode of Arthur in the later season.
This very infamous episode of Arthur. Okay,
dude. Okay, well, I'll tell you what happens, and then you can tell me whether or not you think it deserves the infamousness of this. So basically, the episode is called "So Funny I Forgot to Laugh," and I hear all my Arthur heads, my caught up Arthur heads, cringing in the audience, hearing that name.
Do we have any other Arthur heads listening?
No, I doubt it. I think there's only dozens of us, you know.
Yeah,
I doubt they're watching the show.
I was just thinking, like, if anyone's going to listen to our show, it should be Arthur heads, but none of them have shown up.
Yeah, because I ended up watching a video on YouTube, like, a month or so ago that got me rethinking about this episode, because I remember when I watched it, it, like, stuck with me because it was fucking sharp, and again, we'll get to it, but this guy had it as he made a top 10 worst Arthur episodes video. And I didn't really agree with, like, my problem with most of the picks was there's so many episodes of Arthur that it's just like, I could think of some worse ones than this. Where it's like, I you know, it's like, I think this is here just because it's from the Flash season, you know?
Yeah, well, like, there's that obvious, I don't know. It's
any episode with Emily as the protagonist, DW's best friend character before Bud is introduced in season 16. Any episode like Emily swallows a horse, whatever, fucking horrible. She sucks. Emily sucks.
I do want to talk about like the cartoon tuber. I want to talk about this after we're done with this, because I have words.
Okay, please. I have words to spit as well. But I watched this video and he had it as number one. So, and basically, and the reason for it is because this episode Arthur does some stuff that is just really whack and out of character, and I understand what they were trying to do, but the execution didn't really work for me, and it just left me feeling really weird. And I imagine if I was like 8 or 9 watching this shit, or probably younger, I'd be feeling pretty fucked up.
Well, that was kind of a problem with a lot of shows. Like, I remember this with Fairly Odd Parents, where you would just like get episodes where like characters were just completely different or like acted completely wrong. And this is my problem with all these like 2000s era like kids cartoons. Sorry, were you going to explain the plot?
Yeah, I was going to break down the plot.
I'm so sorry. Continue.
Oh, no, you're good.
I thought you were done.
I'm sorry. All this stuff, what you're saying, all this stuff really does connect and come back to it. So we're going to come back to all these points. Cartoon tubers and characters fucking flipping on a dime or not being written fucking right, and fucking with your perception of reality. So basically, the extent of the episode, it mainly revolves around Sue Ellen and Arthur. It's like, and Sue Ellen has a sort of pen pal from like Nepal or something like that, like somewhere in that fucking region of the earth. One of those other Asian countries you like never really hear about in media.
Yeah.
She's got like a pen pal sort of brother thing going on there. And he sends her like this sort of like, maybe she was Tibetan, I think, actually, like a Tibetan sort of coat. And it's kind of goofy looking, but she likes it and she doesn't give a fuck or whatever. And she comes to school with it on or whatever, and Arthur like is kind of like making, she's kind of making fun of her for it, and everyone's just kind of like, joking that it's kind of goofy or whatever, and it's all in good fun or whatever. But Arthur, he takes the joke like a little too, he takes the joke a little too far, and he keeps pushing it and pushing it. And because basically the idea is that Arthur thinks that this coat makes Sue Ellen look like a dog. So he keeps calling her like a dog and barking at her and shit. And it's, it's funny at first, but then he just keeps going and she's kind of not really about it, but he just won't fucking stop. And it just keeps fucking escalating. And it's fucking Arthur being the perpetrator.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what's fucked up is like Arthur wouldn't go this far.
This is an early season Buster episode.
Yeah, definitely like a season 1 Buster episode. Because even later even Buster post.
Once he finishes traveling, yeah,
he's like a different.
He's mature,
like a different character,
and thoughtful. Yeah,
he's a more thoughtful, worldly character, despite still being a goof and believing in aliens and all that stuff.
Well, he probably met some on his travels.
Yeah, he definitely did. But this episode ends up culminating with Arthur, like sort of the act 2 low point of this only 11-minute episode. This probably would have been okay if this was like a 22-minute like 2-parter or something. We could have extended this out because basically Arthur ends up like cyberbullying Sue Ellen, like fucking photoshops her fucking head on a fucking dog and sends it to her. And it's like, and I'm like, and I watched this episode as like a 21-year-old or whatever when it first came out. And I was like, this is so fucked up. Like, what is going on? This is fucking Arthur. Not like, why is this? Nothing this feels bad has ever happened in Arthur. And Mrs. McGrady got fucking cancer. Their school burnt down. And Arthur's grandpa had an episode where he suffers from Alzheimer's. And nothing has been more
Alzheimer's, not
Alzheimer's. Excuse me, Alzheimer's. And this shit is just so out there and so like not right. I feel like the character was so mismatched, and then it extends to basically Arthur finds out through like Francine, because basically all Arthur's friends like kind of turn on him, and rightfully so. He's acting like a total dick to Sue Ellen for no fucking reason. He's taking this shit way too far for like no reason. Without any thought or whatever, which again, Arthur would be the straight man in this scenario in many other episodes, but he's just the perpetrator. And again, the point, Myles, the point they're trying to make is that, if you're, anyone can be a bully. That's the fucking point of the episode, is that, if you aren't paying attention to your friends or, your schoolmates or the people around you's sort of feelings or whatever, something that you think is funny could be taken the wrong way. But this shit gets really fucking extreme because Arthur finds out that Sue Ellen is going to switch classes or schools, something like that, due to Arthur's like incessant fucking like picking on her and like bullying of her. And I'm like that, and then that gets resolved in like 2 minutes because you got an only 11-minute episode. So that's pretty extreme consequences to throw in at the end of an 11-minute episode. And I know I'm speaking very critically about a fucking show for fucking young kids, but they're impressionable, so that shit matters. Well, that's right.
And this is the perfect thing, because here's the thing. We're two mean assholes. All right. I almost said a word that I should never be allowed to say on the internet yesterday about people who don't like Metroid for the NES. So we're not exactly moral authorities here, right?
No, God, no. Christ,
we're terrible.
Absolutely
people.
not. In fact,
yeah, we're terrible people. But not as terrible a person as the average cartoon YouTuber. And here's my problem with the average cartoon YouTuber, Sam, is that they're like deficient adults. Like they just take everything so fucking seriously for like children's entertainment. Like, and meanwhile, they have no production experience. They don't understand anything about like what actually happens behind the scenes at a children's television network, or like a network that has a child block or children's programming or a children's programming division, you know, anything like that. It doesn't even have to be Nick, which, you know, Nick, all kids, some teens, you know, or like Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network's got Adult Swim, mostly cartoon, you know, network stuff for little kids. Like even something like Fox, which used to have a kids line.
Yeah, right? Fox Kids, yeah.
Yeah, like, every fucking one of these things has similar, if not the exact same kinds of environments. You have people who have to approve of the content. You have standards and practices who are very, very, you know, cognizant of what goes on screen. You have a lot of people who have to cater to the fact that we live in the United States of America, and I would say 50% of the country still, you know, are like not fucking gay allies and not fucking, you know, or not fucking like super about that therapy life, you know, and they don't really understand this shit that like a lot of these like, you know, white people from Southern California think are very important issues. And so a lot of those shows, like they don't have a lot of room to work with, or if they do, it's because the network is making a push to appeal to these kinds of things, or making a push to make these sorts of things okay. But then you have these like actual fucking adults who, by the way, should be watching anime by now. Because like the kinds of fucking subject matters that they want to see involved in kid shit, like, is in Wonder Egg Priority, which is not a kid's show, but it stars kids. So if that's your fucking concern,
because let's be clear what they want. They just want fucking animation is mostly what they fucking want. The problem is that animation is just fucked.
Yeah,
it's
fucked in the United States because animation is only going to be for kids. And it's only going to be for kids because we didn't cultivate any kind of successful infrastructure for adult animation. And we haven't pushed that as a, you know, like, anime is a big industry. And it's a big industry because anime isn't, you know, it doesn't have to be huge. What it has to be is it has to appeal to its core demographic, because here's the thing: most animes are making their money off of their home state of Japan, airing on television in Japan, licensing, but for the most part it's merchandise. A lot of it's merchandise, and that's how Japan is able to make successful animations. And then you also have these animation studios who are profitable, and they can afford to make a movie.
Despite making crap that you're like, I can't believe anyone watches this shit. The truth is, they're not.
Well, like that, yeah. I mean, that's
because all you need is someone to buy the $150 figure like 1,000 times or whatever. You know, like
that's the big thing. Like, well, I'm talking about like a Studio Bones, right? Like a Studio Bones or Studio 4C, TMS, where they also have the lucrative, you know, business of like, oh, you know, a video game company wants an animated opening, right? Okay, well, we'll outsource it to TMS, or what, like TMS did, like Transformers, Tiny Toons Adventures, Batman Beyond, The Return of the Joker.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, like TMS is awesome. Also, they did Nagatoro, which is really funny.
Dude,
like,
that's insane.
Yeah,
which is the Batman Beyond team. The Batman Beyond Return of the Joker team did Nagatoro.
That's the thing. So they stopped working with the United States of America, and like now they're producing like their own anime. But like Nagatoro, like if you compare Nagatoro to Uzaki-chan doesn't look that good. It looks okay.
It's pretty cheap, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. Whereas, like, Nagatoro looks great. And when you realize, like, TMS's pedigree, of course it looks great. This is a studio that has been around for years, probably has some, you know, success and capital still from their heyday, and they're probably still raking in money, and they probably attract professionals, people who want to work there. You know, and so they get good applications and good applicants, and they're probably also, the other thing, they might have a smart content plan. You know, they're not Mappa, where they're just buying every fucking right ever, and like now they don't have enough people to fucking animate the shows they have, so they have to hire people out of high school. So that's how anime studios are successful. American studios just don't work like that. Our distribution systems just don't work like that. Even with Netflix, right? Even with the streaming service like Netflix, there's a lot of Netflix has been great for animation. It's not been great for the visibility of animation though. But there's a ton of animated shows that are on Netflix that I've never fucking heard of. Like, remember when we talked about the Loud House fanfic?
Yeah.
Where they kept talking about like what Magiforce or something like that, or Magicons, and like that was like a Canadian show that was like, you know, Netflix exclusive. There was a show that I did. I ended up doing research on a football player. I don't quite remember why. I think it was for my job back when I worked in Los Angeles. And he wrote a series of books about amphibious warriors, you know, in Australia. Like, so they're like these kind of, you know, it's sort of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing, but they're frogs, but they're also like, it's like the entire world.
But they're
is frogs.
also Australian.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing. Like, so it takes place
and
in
they
an
fight
Australian
mutant kangaroos.
Well, it takes place in
and
an Australian
koala bears.
like, biome, right? So like, it's like every person who lives in this like ecosystem.
Australian biome.
Well, yeah, like everyone who lives in this ecosystem that's like,
Dude,
you know,
when's the
Australian.
new Minecraft update gonna add the Australia biome?
I don't know anything about Australia's fucking, like, geography, dude. All I know is there's 5 basic biomes. I've done a lot of research on this recently.
Rank your favorite biomes right now.
Boreal Forest. My absolute favorites. Boreal Forest, that's that good Akala shit, baby. That's that good up north Akala, right next to Eldon Volcano, right above Laneru Providence. I'm talking Akala, baby. That's what I like. That's what I like, is the Boreal Forest. And by the way, Farron, Tropical Forest. Another favorite of mine. Yeah, like, you know, so he's this, like, football player, and he wrote these books about, like, you know, frog warriors. And it's like, it's sort of like the Tinkerbell fairy characters where their world is really small, and, you know, it's like,
yeah,
it's at a small scale. And that got a fucking animated show, and it's on Netflix. And apparently the books reviewed very well, and the series reviewed very well, but I don't remember the name of it, and you've never heard of it. And that's what I'm fucking talking about with, like, animation, like, with this children's show shit. And then you have people like Mysterious Mr. Enter and Lily Orchard, who, by the way, Lily Orchard should be jailed. They should be jailed for their crimes against... Have I ever read the 100 rules that they did of, like, their 100 writing rules, Sam?
Oh, didn't someone do, like, a podcast about...
Oh, multiple people have done a podcast about it, because there's 100 of the worst pieces of advice you've ever heard. I always joke about how she said, like, oh, goblins are inherently anti-Semitic, and I always point out Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins, classic children's book. And I guess someone's got to tell that Jewish author and his Jewish illustrator that they're anti-Semites. Like, that's the one that sticks out with me
we
forever.
all know orcs represent racism.
Black people, yeah. The black person with the mug. Yeah, just all this great shit.
Shout out extra credits.
Yeah, shout out the best extra credits episode. My favorite thing about extra credits is that they will just make an episode that they think is, like, in good heart and good faith and good intention, and it's the most misguided, terrible idea they could possibly have. I love that for them. I love the fact that they are such, like, virtue signaling pieces of shit that they will just make the most racist, like, misguided, sexist, terrible fucking video. Like, every once in a while, in their attempt to talk about something important. And then, oh, lo and behold, by the way, fucking James was a fucking abuser, and he, like, abused everyone. Every woman at fucking extra credits. He just abused them until they quit. And the fucking show fell apart, because they're not all monsters. I like Dan. But, like, all these people who, like, project as good guys are fucking monsters. I'm sorry. You should date an asshole like me. I won't beat you. I promise. But, like, yeah. So like, you have all these, like, people who just want these, like, kids cartoons to talk about issues that they're just not equipped for. And you like Steven Universe, I know, but I am going to call out Steven Universe. Like, Steven Universe is just not equipped to talk about complex post-traumatic stress disorder all that well. They can do an okay job. They can introduce the concept.
It does a okay job.
But, like, these people will just be like, they don't represent the realities of PTSD well enough. And it's like, what the fuck do you expect?
Steven's got 11 minutes.
Yeah.
He's got to be in and out.
Yeah, like Evangelion has this kind of time. It's got 24 episodes, and that was the intention from jump, okay?
Yeah, and also Evangelion aired on fucking primetime Japanese TV when it fucking first came out, not Cartoon Network, you know?
Like it was a major mainstream success and a push to be a mainstream success. Like,
yeah.
Steven Universe was a push to be a mainstream success in the realm of cartoons. And so like you have people like Dana Horwitz or whatever from Crackhouse favorite The Owl House, where like she'll just like get on her Tumblr and like complain when Disney like says no to a terrible like idea that's against their standards and practices, or like Alex Hirsch will go on fucking Twitter and just like reveal company emails and just break NDA for his fucking internet goblin followers who are all like 30 something animation geeks who worship the fucking ground he walks on because he made a 7 out of 10. And it's probably 7 or 8. Like, it's a good show, but like I always say, like, Avatar The Last Airbender, on the scale of all animation ever made in the world, is A tier. And that's, like, my controversial, like, hot take. But it's A tier. I'm sorry. Because if we're talking, like, shit that's made in Japan, the greatest Russian animations of all time, the greatest French animations of all time, like, if
Korean.
we're talking... Yeah, Korean, too.
Or Chinese animation.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't know how many of those countries, Russia and Japan, I know for sure have, like, amazing art. I assume France does as well, but a lot of them have animation industries as well. And like, so if we're talking, like, all the animation ever made of all time, I'm sorry, Avatar is not better than, like a Revolutionary Girl Utena, or a Neon Genesis Evangelion, or a Cowboy Bebop. It's just not. And, like, that's okay. Because it's still amazing. It's still A tier. Like, S tier is like 0.2% of all content that's ever gonna get made, by the way. Like, you're not gonna beat fucking, like, Paranoia Agent or, like, Serial's Experiment Lane. Like, things that are just, like, genre-defining, like, once-in-a-lifetime masterpieces. These things don't come out that often, right? Avatar The Last Airbender, by all accounts, is an incredible, stellar piece of American content for a children's television network.
Yeah, you gotta understand, I just feel like most of these chuckle fucks online are like, just sort of see it through that only see it through the lens of American animation or Western.
Yeah, well,
animation.
it's the same. Like, I heard a really great phrase. I was watching, like, you know, a lecture. Someone was talking about writing, and they said the worst writers are incurious because they're the people who don't see enough to know what is and isn't cliche and what is and isn't being done. So they'll see something that's kind of mainstream or that's kind of big, and they'll think it's new to them, when in actuality, there's more interesting art in the world. And so they will try and follow in the footsteps of something that they haven't, that we have all seen before, but they have not, because they are incurious. Like, that perfectly describes, like, the current, like, American manga, like, upstart industry, where it's all, like, Naruto ripoffs, or, you know, like, these kinds of, like, My Hero Academia, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh ripoffs, where it's kind of based on the, I mean, it's in the name of, like, a Saturday PM or a Saturday AM. They're trying to rip off, like, things that aired on Cartoon Network. Fucking beat them on, right? Like, where you have a lot of these shows that are not the absolute best. They're not even the best in what, you know, what was being made at the time, but they're what people know. And so I think a lot of these, like, cartoon tubers are, like, incurious. So, like, the only things they're gonna watch are, like, okay, new disastrous Pinocchio released this year, and the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio just came out. Incredible film, by the way. Like, beautiful stop motion movie. Not the best Del Toro picture. It's like, as far as his whole work, that's kind of like a B tier Del Toro film, but it's fucking awesome anyways, because he's Del Toro. He's great. You know?
A B tier Del Toro is still, like, probably like a 9.
Yeah, it's still a 9. Like, that movie is beautiful. That movie is, like, beautiful and brilliant, and in my opinion, it definitely deserved that Oscar win over The Last Wish, as much as I think The Last Wish is also beautiful and brilliant. It's also kind of a B-tier movie, and that's okay. That's okay, because they're both great. Like, but I'm talking, like, when I'm bringing in the S tiers, Sam, I'm bringing in the S tiers talking about, like, I'm bringing in, like, Angel's Egg and Ninja Scroll. Like, I'm bringing in, like,
Hell yeah,
Vampire
baby!
Hunter D Bloodlust,
Ninja
right?
Scroll, dude!
Ninja Scroll is great.
Ninja Scroll fucks so hard.
Like what
I fucking love that movie.
Sam, you need to watch Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. That's an amazing
Isn't that
film.
like for free on YouTube? Isn't that just
so
like
the thing is
online?
The version that's on YouTube has the color correction redone. So it's not 100% accurate to the original, but it's if you don't care, like I'm not going to get on your case if you don't care. It is
I am that bitch. I mean, how different is it? How different's the color correction? They
saturated the color by 25%. It's like
why'd they do that?
I don't know. It's really vibrant compared to the original.
Wait, what if I just? What if
you just like turn your monitor? Yeah, that would work. That would fucking work.
Or what I do is I download it and watch it in Premiere.
That would work too. Yeah,
and I desaturate it.
You might as well. You might as well. Well, here's the problem though: is that I think it also uses the closed captions on YouTube, so you do have to watch it through the browser.
Oh, so. But you can download videos with the closed caption.
There you go.
That's how I have the Trails of Cold Steel Theater play downloaded on my computer with the subtitles.
There you go. Man. There you go. Yeah, like it is kind of a, I don't know. It's kind of a like, a lot of these movies are really hard to find and hard to watch. I always tell you should get high and watch Angel's Egg. I want you to be so uncomfortable.
I want like so off my fucking rocker.
I want you to be so confused, and you'll be like, Myles, what the fuck,
dude? I gotta be honest with you, man. So, I don't know if I'd like Angel's Egg. I feel like I'd get it, be 20 minutes into this and be like, I don't get it. Like
that's the big the big thing for me about it, Sam, is that I think there's nothing to get. It's just a vibe movie. It's so completely and totally up to your interpretation. There's no, if you're
is it like Skinamarink, where it's just you just kind of watch it and
you're just like, okay, all right, I just finished Angel's Egg. That's why I love that movie. You just watch it and you just feel end to end that movie, and it's great because it's such an important piece of if you're a fan of Dark Souls, that's one of those you owe it to yourself to experience.
Oh shit, really? There's some big inspiration.
The entirety of the Ring City is a reference to Angel's Egg.
I fucking love the Ring City. That's one of my favorite locations. All right, and you got me back in. You should open. You should open with that.
Well, I told you that on a previous episode.
Oh, you think I remember anything?
That's fair. I did watch you forget every room of Super Metroid the second you exited it. So yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, but that's,
I wish we had that fucking playthrough recorded, dude. Because you just get to because everyone could have just saw you lose your brain cells in real time.
Oh, it was terrible. I'm so glad we did it. It was terrible though. But yeah, that's part of if you're a Dark Souls fan, and you want to watch all the stuff that Miyazaki ripped up, was inspired by, that's definitely that's one of them. What's it? Brotherhood of the Wolf, I think, is another one that inspired Bloodborne, the outfits and the hunter culture in Bloodborne. And this is one of those moments where I want to kill people, where Vati Vidya did a video about Angel's Egg, right? And so I'm telling a friend of mine, because I really fucking like Angel's Egg. I think it's a top 5 movie. I love that film. And I'm telling a friend of mine who's a big Dark Souls person, oh, you should watch Angel's Egg. It's really worth experiencing this thing that inspired Miyazaki. And they were like, yeah, but I already watched the Vati video about it, so I don't really need to watch it. And that was my Arlo moment, where I was like, all right, yeah, Angel's Egg has no map. Got it. All right, you don't have to watch the movie to understand. You don't have to, even though you fucking want to suck Miyazaki's dick and then fillet his balls until he comes so much that it's coming out your fucking nose because you worship the fucking man so fucking much and the fucking ground he walks on. It's okay. I'm this way with Kojima. It's fine. It's not a problem. But you want, but you don't actually want to engage with the media that he likes. You just want to engage with people engaging with the media that he actually likes. That's fine. I understand. I understand what a shallow piece of shit you are. What a fucking fake fan you are. What a fucking fucker you are. I get it. I don't know. Something just bothers me. I gotta keep it a $1.50 with you, dude. I feel like part of the reason why game analysis is kind of taking a turn for sort of the longer form essays where they kind of take you through the whole experience. It's because people have to sum this shit up for you. A lot of people fucking watch these videos as substitutes for playing the fucking game a lot of the time. And you know what, Sam? That sucks. Like, I
Yeah,
understand.
it is a shame.
I understand. Like, I totally get it. I watched that Final Fantasy IV video that's come out recently. It's a really good video. But, like, what's great about the video is it's not an effective replacement for playing Final Fantasy IV because it doesn't really cover every bit of Final Fantasy IV. What it does is it effectively tells you everything you need to know if you already like Final Fantasy IV. It's just literally called, like, the Final Fantasy IV retrospective by a guy named, like, Alex Blake, I think.
Andrew Blewett.
Andrew Blewett. And he just like goes over Final Fantasy IV, but he also goes over like, here's the economic area that America was in the 1980s that allowed Final Fantasy to be more relevant than Dragon Warrior in the United States, right? Like, just like he just like sets the scene of like why Final Fantasy IV is so important in America, especially.
Yeah.
And just, like he goes over like fucking sales figures of the game that he dug up from the garbage bin in 1991. Like, he like cites entire books he read. He cites people whose names no other fucking person is gonna tell you about. Like the fucking guy who came up with the battle system, right? Like, and programmed the ATB battle system. Yeah, that's not an accurate replacement for playing Final Fantasy IV. It's, if you love Final Fantasy IV, this is an accurate replacement for reading the literature that explains Final Fantasy IV. Or, like, explains, like, what made Final Fantasy IV so relevant. But, like, all these people who are making these, like, 5-hour, 7-hour, 9-hour analysis where it's just a replacement for playing the game, like, I understand.
For the record, this is not the creator's fault. This is the people who are watching this who are using it as a substitute for playing the game. I just wanted that specified.
Oh yeah, no, White Light didn't make a fucking 7-hour Death Stranding commentary because he didn't want people to play Death Stranding. I'm 99% sure his hope was that people would get interested in Death Stranding from his own video.
Yeah,
but like, it's just a case of like, you don't have to know everything about all these games. It's okay to not know about obscure bullshit. It's fine. It's totally fine. To not know what Baroque is. It's okay. But I think a lot of people want to be able to say like, oh yeah, I know all this shit about games. And then, by the way, it doesn't even help their fucking critical response because I fucking looked at the Steam page for Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. Jack Garland angry kills his way through hundreds of thousands of monsters, which, by the way, I suck at that game now. It sucks. I'm so bad at it.
Your skill fucking atrophied.
It atrophied to a degree I didn't think was possible. I'm like really out of practice. But like, I saw like a negative review, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with a negative review about Stranger of Paradise. What I had a problem with was one of the sentences that they wrote, which was, and Sam's laughing because I told him this already. If this is the future of Final Fantasy, then this series is dead to me. And I sat there.
Joker moment.
Yeah.
Joker moment.
I sat there in stunned silence. No, that was my crawl space moment.
Oh.
where I was just like, how can you look at any aspect of this game's development, including the fact, by the way, that it's not even numbered, and think that this is the future of, like, that there's even a remote possibility that this game will influence the future of Final Fantasy in any way? How? How can you, and like, how can you be old enough to have a Steam account, in theory, be old enough to purchase an M-rated game, and in theory, be purchased to have a bank account? How do you get that far in life? How do you get that far in life? And to be like the legacy of Final Fantasy, to be like so
18,
stupid,
dude.
Yeah,
You're fucking 18.
But it's not just that. Like, if you played Final Fantasy 13, right, and you said, like, when people played Skyward Sword and they had no faith in a Zelda Wii U, like, you know, or people who played Final Fantasy 13 and they had no faith in, you know, in Final Fantasy ever being good again. People who played like, I mean, even people who played like a Mario Sunshine, right? And like, they kind of like, they were like, oh, I don't know about this new Mario shit, guys. Like, you know, a lot of franchises go through these like patches, these rough patches where you're not sure if they're gonna recover.
Pull out, dude. Look at fucking Resident Evil with like 5 and 6 before 7 and 8.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
Resident Evil. I mean, for as much as I'm not a big fan of a lot of the new Resident Evil games, well, I shouldn't say I'm not a fan. I don't have the same like god tier reverence for them that a lot of people do. I think Resident Evil 4 Remake's a great game. I think it's inferior to its original version, and so like I'm not like
and you
like,
also like 7 and 8, but you don't like 7 and 8 as much as like other people do. I mean,
I kind of love
fucking
8. I kind of love 8, but
you
like
do.
I love 8 as like I love 8 more as literature, I think, than as a game, which is rare for me, but it does happen. Like I feel this way about like Majora's Mask. I think Majora's Mask is only enjoyable as literature, in my opinion, because as a game, it's kind of fucking dire. Like at its worst, it's kind of fucking dire, and at its best, it's like slightly worse than Ocarina of Time, in my opinion. Like, and so that's the ballpark we're playing in. Like, I think that like the best parts of Majora's Mask are like as good as like the most okay parts of Ocarina of Time. That sucks. Oh, and not counting the literature part of Majora's Mask. That's the literature part is like on par with and occasionally better than Ocarina of Time, in my opinion. But like I feel the same way about Super Paper Mario. I don't think Super Paper Mario is an amazing game. I think it's incredible literature, though. And I think
the narrative's cool.
Yeah, I think as a game, I think it's okay. Yeah, but as literature, okay. I love it. Like, and that's fine. That happens sometimes. I feel that way with fucking. Oh my god, what did I play recently? Where I was like this. Never mind. Doesn't matter. If I forgot already, I don't care.
Wasn't that good? Nier Automata.
Nier Automata is another. Literature. Yeah, that's another game as literature game that I feel like. Man, this is gonna bother me though, because I played something recently that I was like, yeah, as literature, I really dig this, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah, like that game as literature, I think is really cool. As like this like take on Resident Evil. That's, by the way, probably the best like Resident Evil theme they've ever done. Like it's this very cohesive story about love, like and not not love as in like romance, love as in like familial to daughter, from parent to child. Like all 4 of these villains have been screwed up because they don't have the right kind of love. The villain is only capable of loving a character who's fucking been dead for 100 years and just didn't move on because stories, and the hero is only a hero because they have so much love for their daughter. And Chris is like so like bitter and broken that like he can't, I don't know, he just can't make good decisions anymore, and he just can't like protect these people anymore. Because he's not missing love per se, but he's just such a dark character, and he's in such a dark place. He's not been taken care of. I guess being taken care of is another good, way to put it. Like as literature, I think it's a really great story, and it's got this fairy tale vibe. I'm all about that. But like as a game, it's like mid. It's like a perfect like 7 out of 10,
okay.
6 out of 10.
It's a shooter.
Yeah, it's good, and it's fun. It's a fun, good, decent game. But like I'm not gonna tell if someone's like, yeah, I don't like Resident Evil Village. I'm not gonna be like shocked. I'm not gonna be like sad or mad. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I like it, but I get it. Yeah, it's just a lot of things. I just think that people have like such poor expectations of like they just can't temper their expectations and like see a product and like know what they're looking at. And it's why all the Tears of the Kingdom like whining is so baffling to me, because it's like, how do you not know what you're looking at? Like people who like look at people who look at the trailers and they can't see what's on screen is what they're asking for, or like, where's the dungeons? Oh, there's a fucking dungeon right there. Like, it's just people who like who think they're smart enough to fucking tell you like what something is doing wrong. And these are all these cartoon fucking people. These fucking cartoon
these
people,
cartoon fuckers.
These cartoon fuckers. Yeah, like I don't know. I think if you review cartoons on YouTube, like genuinely, like, get laid. Like, really? I don't know. Just watch something else.
It's just, I just wish there was better shit for you.
There is better shit for you. It's just not gonna be fucking airing on fucking primetime Nickelodeon. And by the way, they're not gonna respect anything that isn't like millennial-driven gay baby jail show. Right, like there's a Disney Channel show called Big City Greens that I've straight up never heard of until recently. I look at the poster.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, and you look at the poster and it looks like every like it looks like kind of a SpongeBob ripoff, you know, or like like a SpongeBob era energy kind of like excitable kid out in the big wide world causing trouble kind of show, you know, like a Flapjack or.
Yeah, it's like a fish out of water, like country to city narrative, I think.
Chowder, like kid, like rambunctious little kid out in the big wide world. And like all these like cartoon people were like, I can't believe Disney is selling out. And it's like, first of all, what company do you think you're talking about?
What planet have you been on for the last 25 years?
Oh, and then the other thing is that Big City Greens gets twice as much fucking airtime and twice as much like viewership, concurrent viewership as, concurrent viewership as like Owl House and Amphibia combined, like the two like mature adult like masterpiece shows that Disney's making, and it's because you can just air a random episode of Big City Greens, and a kid is going to be able to watch it. And there's no continuity.
That's why fucking... Dude, that's the whole fucking reason why fucking Teen Titans Go airs 80% of the fucking... No, excuse me. 95% of the fucking time.
You can just put a random episode on, and it'll work.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Whereas
and there's so many
serialized
episodes now that you could just loop them endlessly. It doesn't matter.
All these people want to do like serialized shows, and it's like you do realize that like you're actually making this.
You're fucking yourself, especially on cable.
Yeah, you're competing now, and like here's the thing: like you can't just go to Netflix. You can't just go to Netflix because Netflix is going to want some sort of proven success. You can't go to Amazon. You can't go to Hulu. You can't go to Paramount Plus because they're not going to push your show. They're not going to care enough to push your show. And it's not going to make enough waves. And especially because a lot of these millennials are broke and they want to kill themselves. And they probably aren't paying for, you know, certain streaming services. So if you might as well have a show called like Trans Rights the Cartoon, and if you put it on Paramount Plus, all the trans like rights people who care about this sort of thing, they're not going to show the fuck up.
About it on Twitter for 7 days, but they won't watch it or sign up for a fucking Paramount Plus account
because they don't have a Paramount Plus account. And it's all these shows like whenever people are like Amphibia or the Owl House is trending again on Twitter and they say it's not a success, it's like it's really easy for something to be trending on Twitter. Enough people.
Yeah, because Twitter's been the same 15 fucking like it's been the same group of fucking people since the damn app started. There's been no upward trajectory. It churns users. Twitter's been churning users at the same rate in and out for like 10 years now.
It's just I don't know. I wish that people would just learn, like have some perspective. Like if your thing is not going to be a mainstream success, like just like live with that. You know, like people who are like, oh, you know, X games, these games aren't innovative enough. And I was like this. Fucking last year I was like this. And then at some point I was like, most games can't afford to be innovative. Most games just can't afford to do that. And by the way, even if a game is innovative, most games can't afford to steal from the innovative game. And be the person who takes the risk of being the second.
And also, by the way, a lot of games that are genuinely innovative are also do fail or fumble in other areas.
Yeah, a great I was talking about like people who dick suck indie games. We've talked about this enough times.
Oh yeah,
but like the average like innovative indie game really is just a hybrid. It's usually a hybrid of two existing good ideas. Neon White is two good ideas smashed together. Like that counts as a form of innovation. But like Splatoon is innovative. Splatoon is innovative in a way that most games can't copy. And that's fine. Like, but the idea of essentially taking a shooter and reducing the maximum required dexterity and skill by making multiple buttons do the exact same things and have similar functions and achieve the exact same things. And by having a gyroscope controller that makes aiming just easier for people, like without, you know, the need for dexterity with a keyboard and mouse. It's innovation that most shooters cannot afford. They just cannot take from Splatoon. It's just not going to work. Yeah. It's not going to work unless you tool the entire game around it, in which case you're already making a game that might not even have a market. Like Fortnite, in theory, could take from Splatoon. Fortnite, in theory, could take from Splatoon in some way where, like, if you have the sprint button also be the reload button, right? Like you have infinite ammo.
Dude, Fortnite's Battle Royale is a fucking straight up ripoff of PUBG, and PUBG's kind of a ripoff of H1Z1.
Yeah.
So it's like
all these games, just most games can't afford to be innovative. They can afford to be great at what they do, but like a game like Tears of the Kingdom, most games are not going to be able to beat Tears of the Kingdom. Excuse me. Tears of the Kingdom can't even afford to be in a new map. Like, you have to understand. Like, I probably could, but it probably would have ballooned the cost, and they wouldn't have had nearly as many fucking systems.
Yeah, or it would have taken fucking a decade.
Yeah.
Instead of 6.
Yeah, instead of 6 years! Well, if we're being technical, 5 years, because they spent another year on the DLC. But, still, that's a 6-year gap between new Zelda video games. I think that people overinflate the gap because we had DLC that kept Breath of the Wild relevant for way longer than any other Zelda game has been relevant. But like,
definitely.
But either way, like, I just if you're gonna complain online, like, I'm not even gonna ask you to be smart. I'm just gonna ask you to know how the world works, like, even a little bit, even just like a little bit. Like, understand that, like, if you're watching an episode that sucks, look at the writers. Look at which writers are different on the show. And, like, maybe wonder to yourself, like, okay, what happens in a writer's room? How is a season planned out? Did this season get more or less episodes than they had initially planned and they had to make cuts? Like, instead of being like, oh, so fucking sucked, like, ask yourself what you're seeing on screen. And these cartoon fuckers just can't do it because they're too busy being mad that there's not enough allusions to 9/11 in Turning Red.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, and you know what? While we're on this train, Sam, I do have one more thing that I want to talk about. Okay,
9/11.
I would love to talk about 9/11. 9/11's my favorite holiday, Sam. What's yours?
Good Friday.
Good Friday's a good one. Especially in
Some
Ireland.
would say it's good.
Yeah, especially in Ireland. That's when they got their independence on Good Friday. Oh,
I thought that's when, like, Irish car bombing was invented.
No, that was a different. I
thought you were trying to do a whole mean-spirited joke.
No, I think you're talking about,
set it up like bloody. You set it up like some.
Oh my God,
like
what's
the
it called?
potato famine started on Good Friday.
No. The Good Friday Agreement was the agreement that saw Ireland become an independent nation.
Yeah. That was the Great Friday Agreement.
That was objectively the best Friday for them. I do have, like, I don't know. I have more content.
What do you want to talk about?
I have more content. That's the thing. I have two, like, bits of content, and I know which one you actually want to talk about. So
I want to talk about. Yeah. So yeah, whatever I want to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. I know
whatever you think I want to talk about. Yeah.
Sam, I have a hot take for you. I have a hot take for you. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
And this is a general hot take. I want you to know. I want you to tell me if I'm insane or not.
A general hot take as opposed to a what?
Like a hot take directed at you. Like, if I had a hot take that was like, fucking, I played Sekiro and it sucked. Like,
it was shitty.
Yeah. Like,
I hated that there's 2 fucking health bars. That's dumb.
I just don't like stance breaking. It's just not my thing. But I will play Sekiro. I just, like, what I was saying is, I didn't get the hang of it the first time I played it. I didn't get the hang of stance breaking. Ironically enough, though, I think with playing Final Fantasy Origin, I probably have a better understanding of how that works now.
The games feel kind of, they got similar combat vibes.
Well, they have similar ideas of like sometimes you want to deal break damage as opposed to physical damage.
Yeah, the thing with Sekiro, pro tip for all guys out there, from someone who platinumed the game and no hit a bunch of the bosses. If you just have endless offense and, like, you never fucking let up the offense and you never run away or back off, like, the regroup. Opponent. Yeah, if you just don't do that shit, because here's the deal: a lot of people came from Souls, where that is not only acceptable to do, it's fucking smart to, like, take a step back, regroup, get your fucking bearings. And this game, you're fucking losing every second you do that. You're losing massive progress in the enemy that you're fighting. So yeah, just staying on top of it. But no, I want to hear your general hot take.
My general hot take, Sam, because what bothers me, and this is stale discourse, but I'm going to bring it back anyway, Sam. What I always get bothered whenever I see people who, like, I was talking to a friend of the podcast, Mulgar. He introduced to a server that he's in the idea of a game book club, right? Like a game of the month book club. And I think so either he or someone else said, oh, Wario Land 4. Now,
that's a fun one.
We all know my thoughts on Wario Land 4. I think that Wario Land 4 will help you grow a third testicle. I love that game. It is the most manly video game of all time. But but in the most predictable move I've ever heard, because I know his server and I know how they think. Or not his server, he doesn't own it, but I know the server that he was in. A lot of them didn't like it. And a lot of their complaints were like dumb, like just stuff that like people didn't like the collision on ladders, just things like that. Like, or they thought it was too light or too easy. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, this Game Boy game seems like it's too like it's too short for you. I'm sorry, this Game Boy Advance game, the levels are too short for your liking. Just again, like stuff where it's like there's just no context. Like that this was designed for anything other than just to be played on an emulator on your PC for a gaming book club in the year 2023. Just no fucking context.
No context.
And so I want to bring this up because I feel like people don't have context. We always talk we just talked about this for an hour. But the one that always bugs me is people who talk about Mario 64. They say, "Oh, Mario 64 is such a bad 3D platformer. The levels are not big enough. It's such a bad collectathon." I hear this one as a collectathon. It's not very good. Like I hear that. Like,
I want to whip out the Tommy gun when I hear a statement
when people are like
that.
As far as like collectathons go, Mario 64 isn't that good. And like, or like
as far as collectathons go, Mario 64 is not one.
yeah, exactly. Right. And so like, and this is always said by like, I ranted about someone who, like they complained endlessly about, I forget which game it was, but it was like a game of the year nominated game. It was like Final Fantasy VII Remake or like Yakuza Like a Dragon. Like I think it was a 2020 game, right? Like some game that like is fucking awesome. I think it was Final Fantasy VII Remake because we were talking about action RPG systems. And they were like, yeah, that one sucks. You know what's great is Gauntlet for the PS2. Like, and you look up the reviews for it, and it's like 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. Like a game that's like fine, you know, like so okay, so like mid-budget, so produced that it turns out fine. It's these same people who always bring this shit up, right? But one game that tends to get a lot of love in comparison to Mario 64 is they always say Mario has aged like dog water, but Crash has aged really well. And I want to offer...
Who has said this? Who has said this?
Oh, I mean, here's the thing. The people who hate Mario 64 are willing to say this shit to you because they hate Mario 64, which means
but who said that Crash Bandicoot aged better?
Here's what they're saying
when
Mario
they say
64. That Crash Bandicoot aged better than Mario 64. They mean Crash Bandicoot 2 aged better than Mario 64. That's what they mean. And they just want to make it seem like the entire Crash trilogy, even though Crash 3 is like the worst of 5th and 6th generation game design, where 60% of the game is you on a vehicle, right? Like, I think we once counted
it's a lot. It's like
I think it's like 9 out of 25 levels. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what, like 30%, 40% of the levels are you in a vehicle.
Yeah, or doing some kind of mini game.
Yeah, it's just like
dog fighting, or on the wave board, or on the
tiger. Yeah, just like tiger,
tiger, uppercut,
tiger. Yeah. So,
dude, you have to be from the age of like 23 to 27 to be able to like understand like
us just
the proliferation of tiger from like 08 to like 11.
Tiger
online.
Yeah, but so I wanna put this out there, and I worded this very well. I worded this very well to a friend of mine.
Oh, you got a written document?
No, it's like a very short thing. I just
want
to make
thanks for fucking flash banging the viewers with your document.
It's me. That's I see 2 Plagas on the screen. Pink.
Damn it. I thought we'd get through the whole episode without talking about Resident Evil 4 once, but we had to blow it at the end.
First of all, just my favorite thing is to do Las Plagas impressions, and I'll do some Las Plagas impressions for the fans after this. But I said...
I gotta hear your statement. You gotta read me your statement.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were about to ask me to do a Las Plagas impression. Or Ganados impression. And I said... Crash Bandicoot is the best 4th generation platformer of the 5th generation. Am I wrong?
I disagree. Mega Man X4 is better, but go off.
Well, no. So what I mean, because here's the thing. Mega Man X4 is different. Mega Man X4 is different because Mega Man X4 is a legacy game, right? It's a legacy game. Okay. That is the identity of the franchise. They're just carrying it over from the 4th generation. Crash Bandicoot is a game that has aged as well as it has because it's just a 4th generation platformer that occasionally has a Z-axis.
Yeah,
not every time, but some of the time.
Yeah, it really is just like a 2D game, just like, eh.
Yeah, they sometimes just turn the angle, and sometimes they don't even do that at all. And like that's the thing that I want to emphasize. It's like, of course, this game's aged well. It had the least ambition, and so that kind of made me like, and it's still a great game. Don't get me wrong, but like it's a great game by virtue of it's a great game in the same way that like Clerks is a great movie.
Yeah,
right?
It's not like super like Crash isn't really super like innovative or anything.
No,
it's just like
for its budget and for its means and what it's trying to do, it does the absolute best job it can and should. But like whenever I hear people like disparage like games that actually like took a risk and tried and like pushed things further, and like their problem with it is that they're not perfect. And the reason that they're not perfect is because they were too busy trying to have new ideas and do new things and not be stuck in the past. And people have a problem with that. Like, that always bothers me. And so, like, whenever I hear people who are like, yeah, well, Super Mario 64, like, let's talk about Crash. Crash is the real best game. And it's like, oh, yeah, of course it's the best game. It didn't try it didn't try and do anything that its old designers probably couldn't have observed happening in 2D in the first place. And so like that was my hot take basically is that like Naughty Dog, and I would be willing to say that Naughty Dog is as great as they are because they're always a generation late. They're always a generation late, except for in the case of Last of Us Part 2, where they were 2 generations late. But Crash is a great SNES Genesis platformer with a Z-axis. Jak and Daxter is a great 5th generation...
Jak and Dexter.
Jak and Dexter is a great 5th generation collectathon. Jak 2 is a great Rockstar PSA launch title, or PS2 launch title. Uncharted is a great... I would say Uncharted is ahead of
Uncharted's of the era. Uncharted's of its era cover shooter.
I would even say that Uncharted is ahead of the curve because it figured it took the linear campaign of... Well, so we were talking about God of War, how God of War once said, like, yeah, the combat of Devil May Cry with the exploration of eco, right? Like, that was an advertisement they did. Like, Uncharted has a very similar, like, case of like, okay, it's the shooting of Resident Evil 4, with the quick time events and linear campaign of God of War.
It's like a cover shooting with like a linear bombastic campaign.
It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid, and that's good. Like Last of Us is ironically closer to Gears of War.
Like all innovative games from the last 25 years, just a fucking mix mash of shit that came before it.
That's the funny thing about like Last of Us 2 is that Last of Us is Gears of War 7 years later. With like a handful of innovations and a handful of like prestige elements that make it better than like Gears of War as a product and a narrative experience. But there is a very similar like elements of like roadie running between cover, crouch walking, cover shooting, similar like reticle systems. I know this sounds so stupid, but like so oddly specific. There's just like little tiny things like that where like Naughty Dog, the reason that they are so successful is that they wait for someone else to make a great game, and then they just put a like their quality and their production level on top of a great game, and they make an equally great game, and that does not deserve to be disparaged. But I will absolutely call it the fuck out if you ever try and say that like Crash Bandicoot 2 has aged better than Mario 64. Of course it has, because it's the safest video game possible of the era.
Yeah, it's just like when people are like, oh yeah, pixel art games have just aged so much better than fucking 3D, games. It's like, I don't know, dude. A lot of these 3D games actually look pretty fucking cool still.
Yeah,
Like,
whenever people are like, "Oh, cel-shaded graphics always look better than like."
Oh, I
graphics.
fucking hate that shit so much, dude. I'm so over that fucking shit. Like, cel-shaded graphics are cool and all, but like, they're not the fucking end-all be-all of a fucking game aging gracefully. That's some Nintendo brain shit right there.
Well, it's
That's
not
some
just
fucking
Nintendo brain
Wind Waker
shit.
wasn't that bad, guys. Type energy. Like,
It's specifically like there. I do think you can break Nintendo brain people into very specific categories of Zelda brain. I have Zelda brain. That's obvious. But I have like Ocarina of Time, Zelda 1, like Breath of the Wild, where like I want my Zelda games to be as like player driven as possible while still delivering that level of quality. I want them to embrace the possibility of variety that these very simple mechanics allow them to have. I like the fact that Ocarina of Time has me solve 5 different fucking puzzles. It's not just me pushing blocks around, and occasionally I gotta avoid a falling ceiling. That's awesome, right? Like, these controls are simple enough that we can have a nice little action segment. I like that the Fire Temple is just quick reaction time challenges. There's almost no puzzle element to the fucking Fire Temple. It's just like you're moving forward and then a wall of flame bursts and you have to quickly pull back on the stick or you just run into it. It's awesome. Like, and Zelda just like will have little, there is an example of that in Wind Waker with the tentacle room in the Forbidden Woods. But most of that dungeon is carrying nuts around and throwing nuts at vine doors. And then once you get the boomerang, that's over. You're carrying no more nuts. Now you're only using the boomerang. Like,
sucks. So overrated.
Yeah, it's
so
like,
lame. It's so lame, dude. I can't believe we always come back to this. I fucking God.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, this era of Nintendo brain is the game maker's toolkit. Oh, this game design is observable, therefore it's good.
It's good. I want to shake it silly. I want to shake it silly, Mark Brown. Oh man.
You want to go Wario Land, shake it on them. Mine. Like, just where like
it's so lame.
I think the problem is just that
lame.
All these people who are like, if I can see the game design happening before me, it's good game design.
Because in the thing in the little pieces you sent me to read, you there's a little bit in there where you mention, you're like, yeah, the Divine Beast in Breath of the Wild, they're not as good as dungeons. I'm like, no, they're not as good as the best 10 or 20% of Zelda dungeons, but I'd rather do those than 80 fucking percent of Zelda dungeons.
My big thing with the Divine Beasts is that they're not as good because they're just not as intricately conceived. Like, as far as if we're talking about like level of quality, like, I don't think that Zelda dungeons are that good, but they're also not piss easy and 4 minutes long. I prefer that.
No, they're fucking annoying in fucking 50 minutes.
Yeah, like
we gotta fucking push the fucking ice blocks.
Yeah, like that. That's
Hit
my
the
thing.
Ice.
I prefer fucking Divine Beast. The thing with Divine Beast that's a problem, because I like the Divine Beast.
There's just more action.
Yeah,
maybe a little more.
Like they just need to be like longer, and they just need to
more intricate, a little more bigger.
And they also just need to be a longer break from the basic gameplay loop. That's why Hyrule Castle is so successful, because Hyrule Castle is like 2 hours of a 100-hour game, as opposed to a Divine Beast, which is at most 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Although I gotta be honest, my first playthrough of fucking Hyrule Castle on my like first and second playthrough, I mean, I ran through it in 30 minutes. There is a lot of shit in it, but actually getting through it wasn't that crazy.
You should absolutely do all the shit in it, though. Like, I would actually recommend going in early at some point. Like, it's worth doing.
I would go in early for the Hyrulean Shield or Hylian Shield. Get that.
Yeah, but you should also go in early for like just some of the weapons too, because there's a lot of like fixed weapon drops that you can just get and just like crush the early game for a bit. Because there's a lot of Royal Arms there, and Royal Arms have the highest durability in the game. The Royal
36 attack on the sword.
Yeah, 36 attack on the sword, and I believe its durability is 3,200 or 2,900, so like that lasts 29 hits. Royal Claymore is like 31,000 or something like that. Like, so a lot of these last like a good while, and they hit hard for how much for how much damage they deal. But yeah, like it's just this thing of a lot of these like people who talk about game design, like they seem to think, oh, because I can notice the game design, it must be good. And it's like, no, it's just pretty like, it's just kind of clear. Like if the more you think about game design, the more you realize like, oh, there's a lot of things that I just don't notice that are very invisible and intricate. And sometimes they're really hard to quantify and they're really hard to notice. Just some people just won't think about certain aspects of game design. And that's how you get Resident Evil 4 getting complaints about its controls, or you know, people who say that they would remove weapon durability. People who don't see game design as anything other than like purely positive and in favor of the player and in favor of giving the player like a really like good experience. No, sometimes level design is about challenge or limitation or frustration mitigation. Death Stranding is a brilliantly designed game. It's also uncompromising. And if you don't like it, it's not badly designed. You're just a pussy. And you don't like tripping. It's fine. It's okay. Or like when people are like, oh, this is unbalanced. Like sometimes a lack of balance is a good thing. Makes situations more interesting. It allows you to tip the scales in your favor. It allows you to create some builds. Like build-based games that are unbalanced. Like, you know, like every Shin Megami Tensei game has some horribly broken build that's possible. It's a good thing. It's better than no builds at all. No build viability at all, because when you have no build viability, you get a strange journey. Which
I mean, all the Souls games are a fucking great example of this, dude. Dark Souls fucking 3 can be beaten at fucking Soul Level 1 without fucking engaging in the RPG mechanics at all. Like, you can just ignore it and still play the game in such a way where you have like a decent time.
Yeah,
like it's not even like it's not even that hard of a challenge run in the grand scheme of, like, video game challenge runs. You know, you can still take hits and heal it. You can still... It's not, like, this absurd thing, you know, despite still being a very hard game on the surface.
Yeah, but just because it has some builds that are broken doesn't mean that the game just inherently is unbalanced. It just means that there is a lack of balance in some aspects of the game.
Yeah. Or the game is just designed in a way is just designed with a fucking flat difficulty that's fucking flexible, and how hard it really is. I mean, that's why I like about like Returnal and stuff too.
Yeah, if you figure out a good build, like it should be easy. The problem is that you can go on the internet and look up best Elden Ring builds, and like the game will. And I fucking did this, and I regret doing this because I think I made Elden Ring boring for myself. Because I got bored of my current class, and I said, all right, when do I get a good build? Like, I got fucking bored of looking up how to best Faith build in 90 minutes. Where like, I didn't get to discover that. And I didn't get to figure out, like, okay, here's how to metagame this.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple buddies about this, about Elden Ring. And I was getting chastised why I've only beaten it once. And I only have
because you got it fucking exhausted from another project involving content making in Elden Ring.
And also the game, in order to really like experience the core game, you know, like in order to really get the most out of it, you got to spend like 40 fucking hours in a playthrough. Where like because like to me it's about the open, like to me Elden Ring is best as a fucking open world game where you play it and you go and you get the stuff and you go and you knock out the shit.
That's why it doesn't work for me, is because there is such a rewards aspect to the game where like sometimes I do feel like I'm doing the open world stuff because if I don't, I'm not doing the open world stuff. Like I don't know, it's the same thing as like a lot of these other open worlds. Breath of the Wild obviously is very similar, but like that whole game is kind of like a baseline expectation of like, oh, if you're not having fun, just like don't do it. Elden Ring is very much the same. But because there is that challenge component to it, I'm always kind of like, yeah, but I'm a fucking pussy if I don't beat every boss in the game. Even though, by the way, half the bosses are just enemies with life bars. Like, just like default enemies with life bars. Like, you're not a fucking pussy for not doing every fucking cave because 4 of them have duplicate bosses at the end. You're not missing anything.
It's not it's like the Korok seed shit. You're just supposed to find it by just playing it and exploring
if
and
you don't get
naturally
anything,
coming across it.
If you don't get anything good at the end of the cave, it's like, that sucks. Move on. See if there's something good at the end of the next cave. You don't have to do every cave. In fact, if you are going for a build, maybe only do the good caves.
Yeah, but if you're but that's the thing. But if you're just like sort of like, playing the game, like, you just go and you see what you get, and it might be good, or it might be something that, might not work on this playthrough, but hey, maybe it might work on the next one.
Yeah, it's like, it's good to keep that in mind. Like, whereas with like the Korok seeds, it's like, you don't even need 50% of them. You only need 49% of all the Korok seeds in the game to fully upgrade Link's slots.
Yeah, and also for the record, you maybe need 20% to even just feel comfortable, to have more than enough anyways. like
I'm sorry, you don't need 20 shields. You don't need 20 shields.
No. No, not at all. But
Elden Ring's the same. You don't fucking need the Dancer's Emblem if you're not playing a Dex character. It's okay. You don't have to fight the Rune Bear in the Earth Borrow Cave on the fucking Weeping Peninsula. You don't have to do it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just, it's there when you stumble in. You're like, oh, I'll go on the outset of the cliff. Let's see what's over here. Oh, there's a cave.
Gotta
fight the bear.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Sam. I think something's wrong with me, because I genuinely said to myself, I need to get all 900 Korok seeds before Tears of the Kingdom comes out. And I thought it would be fucking miserable, and I'm kind of having a great time. I'm kind of enjoying it. Because it's just interesting to see how well hidden some of them are. It's just so interesting to see where there are parts of the map that you would just never even imagine anything would be there. It's so interesting.
The number is too high.
The number is too high on purpose, and like
the number, yes, on purpose. The world is fucking massive. I understand the number. I'm just saying, for me personally, that number is an unacceptable number.
There is no reason to get all 900 Korok seeds. There's no reason to get all 900 Korok seeds. I'm more interested, frankly, in seeing where all the Koroks are than I am in being able to say that I got all 900 Korok seeds. I genuinely want to know where all the most interesting Koroks are in Breath of the Wild. Where are some of the ones that are insane to find?
How are you keeping track of this? Do you have a spreadsheet?
No, I mean, I'm kind of just going by memory, to be perfectly honest.
What the fuck? You can't do, Myles,
Sam, if I don't,
this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna get to 888.
And by the way, when I get to
12 left, and you're not gonna be able to fucking find them.
When that happens, I'm gonna say I did my best, and I'm gonna walk away. Because my objective is to see how many of them there are and how many interesting places there are. And if I can't find all of them, GG's to Nintendo. They did a good job hiding these fucking guys.
So you're not even like using a guide or anything?
No, I'm using a guide, and I'm like, I'm
I
doing
just can't
a very
believe you're not
thorough
using
sweep.
like a checklist. Like, oh my god, you're asking for it, dude.
Oh, I'm absolutely asking for it. And you know something, Sam? If I don't find them all, I'm gonna be like, okay, did the best I could.
I don't know if that's true, dude.
We'll see.
I think that you might say that, but it's gonna be behind it's gonna be like the Wojak meme of the smiley face you're crying behind it.
I feel a certain type of way about this, but I'm probably not going to do it, because I'm probably not going to see it through to the end, because here's the thing. I do, as much as I would love to like really just like hunker down and like do the last Breath of the Wild thing, I have accepted I'm going to come back to Breath of the Wild at some point, and I just don't want to like burn myself out on playing that game system and playing in that world before I have to do it again for another 100 hours. So I'm downloading different games. Probably gonna boot up Kenshi. Like, I'm gonna do some good shit.
My god, dude. I hope we can talk about Kenshi next week, dude. It's been back on my brain recently, and I'm like, oh god, no, I can't do it again. That game was life-sucking.
It has been fun, like, being able to talk to you about, like, Resident Evil 4, and, like, being on the same page with Resident Evil 4.
I know, it's been great. I'm sure everyone's fucking annoyed by it.
No, they can't be, because everyone who listens loves Resident Evil 4.
I guess, yeah, true, very true. It is a Crackhouse beloved game.
People don't want to hear us talk about like fucking dude, I don't even know what they don't. It's probably Zelda. They don't want to hear us talk about Zelda, but like,
oh, they're gonna get a lot of that in 2 weeks. I bet.
Sam, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom. If I wouldn't be surprised if I want to just be like, Sam, I would rather, like, Tears of the Kingdom has been my entire week. I'd rather Bool. Like, I would not be surprised.
I'm gonna put it out early right now. I'm gonna come on this show in like 3 weeks. Be like, Tears of the Kingdom, pretty good, I guess. Like,
oh yeah, no, I don't expect you to have as much. Like, I expect it to fucking love this game. I expect you to be like, yeah, it was really good, and that's it. And I'm fine with that. Because I think that you like Breath of the Wild and you like what it's up to, but like I don't think it's like a game system that you like really feel like, oh, I'm having fun, like, just in the game system.
In the world of brutal honesty, I think it's like just okay. Like, I think all the systems and stuff you really love, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool that you can make an updraft with some fire. It's cool that you can, freeze water with your cryosis and climb on ice. That's pretty fun. And all the time-stopping shenanigans. All the stuff you can do is cool, and it's, like, fun when you play the game, but I don't particularly... I don't think it's the second coming of Christ. Right?
My big thing is that, like, I just think, like, those kinds of games just don't come out. Like games where systems are king just don't come out, and like those are my favorite kinds of games, which is why like Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild are so functionally similar. Like they offer very similar like free roam experiences. But like I could play a Souls game. I could play 5 fucking Souls games. I could go on Steam and I could play
thousands.
Terrible Souls games. I could go on FromSoft's page and I could play 5 great Souls games. I could go on Tecmo and Team Ninja's page. I could play 3 great Souls games. I can play so few great systemic games, especially great systemic games in an open world from Japan. There's only 3 of those. Like, and that's my shit, dude.
What are the other 2?
It's fucking Death Stranding and Metal Gear Solid 5. That's it. That's fucking it. It's fucking all of them. And you know what? And that's my fucking jam. So I wouldn't be surprised if you finish Tears of the Kingdom. You think it's a cool game. You dig everything that's in it, and like then you just move on to something else.
Gleeok, yeah, like that's gonna be me, dude. Like, so cool. You fought Ghidorah in the game, like.
That Gleeok fight.
I made a helicopter. That was fun.
Yeah, like you're gonna have a good old fucking time with this game, and then you're gonna move on.
I'm gonna move on. All right, time to play Armored Core 6 in August.
Yeah, and
time to play some Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Sam. I would not be surprised if you play Armored Core and you're like, Armored Core, pretty good, and then you move on from that too. I think that you like the idea of Armored Core more than you will like Armored Core. That's my opinion.
I feel like I feel like I'm prepped and primed to like Armored Core.
But that's the thing. I think that you're prepped and primed to like Armored Core in the same way that you like in the same way that you liked like Hi-Fi Rush, where you're like this shit's fucking awesome, but
yeah,
one and done.
Yeah, I played it and I was like, yeah, I'm good for right now. I'm gonna play other stuff now. I'm gonna get involved in Kenshi and lose 135 hours of my life.
It's not gonna be a Kenshi. It's not gonna be a Kenshi experience, Sam.
Or my life path has been permanently altered playing it after playing it.
You know what I'm gonna say? Like I think, Sam, I think with you, it's always a grab bag of what games you're gonna fucking love. But what I can say for sure is that I can usually tell which games you are going to love that week. where you're like, this is fucking awesome, and you're not going to finish it. You're going to play 20 hours, and I'm never going to hear you talk about the game ever again.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's okay.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that's good, and I cop off it for a myriad of reasons. Sometimes it has nothing to do with the game, sometimes it does, or I played it and was satisfied, and that was it. And then
you played some Bangai-O. You said this is the best game ever. And
no, I fucking beat Bangai-O. No, I really enjoyed Bangai-O.
And then you never talk about it again.
Well, I just don't really. I'm not playing it again. I said my piece on Bangayo. Like,
there you go. You're like, yeah.
There's
like,
not really that much to say about it. It's a good
there's a difference
between game on Dreamcast.
There's a difference between like you and Bangayo and you and Returnal. Like, I'm sure you haven't played Returnal in the last year. Like,
no, I have not.
But guess
not
who's
played
still
it since
fucking talking about Returnal? Because that lives with you. That's stuck with you.
No, it definitely has stuck with me. It definitely is stuck with me. Where like my
Alien Soldier, you're not bagging on about Alien Soldier, even though you like Alien Soldier.
I do like Alien Soldier. I bring up Daytona USA a lot. That's a real one. That's a real one.
Yeah, like that's what I'm talking about. Like Dark Souls is a real one. Sonic's a real one, right? Daytona's a real one. We already talked about that. Kenshi's a real one. Like, you're gonna play Armored Core. I think that's the perfect way to say it. You say the pantheon of 40 games for me. I'm gonna say the Sam real ones. You're gonna play Armored Core. You're gonna love Armored Core. You're gonna say this game is awesome. I'm probably gonna like it too. Not gonna be a Sam real one.
Yeah, I gotta keep it a $150. I don't know if Elden Ring's a Sam real one.
That's okay.
I like the game a lot. I think it's like a fucking at least a 9, like a bare minimum at least a 9.
You know what, Sam? I just don't think you like open worlds like as much as I do, and that's fine too.
I'm trying to think about open world games I like connect with or really like.
Kenshi might be it.
Kenshi's probably it, but I really like I just like the freedom.
Yeah,
that the Kenshi open world provides, and on a system in like what you can do. I think I really, because I also really love Daggerfall. I really fuck with open worlds where you have a lot of like.
What you're saying is you narrative. Like the open world RPG.
Yeah, like a lot of like I prefer like narrative and character building freedom, whereas it seems you more care about the systemic mechanical. Freedom.
I like the fact that in an open world game, I am expected to master that world and to master the rules of that world. I describe Breath of the Wild as a game about taming the wild, where like your job is to understand what every fucking like you have to understand what every plant does. You have to understand how physics react to other physics. Like, it's your job to essentially it is the exact same thing as studying the real world. You have to understand chemistry, you have to understand physics, like, so that you can know what's possible. And Tears of the Kingdom is going to be the same way. I'm sorry, you can't make a lopsided vehicle. It's not going to be able to run or stand. You have to understand the basic tenets of how the real world works. And it's abstracted to a degree where, like, okay, there's no poisonous plants in Breath of the Wild, right? You're not going to pick something up and it's not going to say might or might not be poisonous, and then you eat it and Link's health starts to drain, right? It's not survivalist to that same degree, where you have a book that you have to leaf through to find out if there's poisonous plants. But there is a similar like wilderness setting of like, okay, you need to know like what items you can pick and what they do and what their potency is when cooking. Like, cooking is just this completely, like, invisible system. You just experiment and you see what happens. And you have to... The math. You don't know the math until you've, like, made your own spreadsheet about cooking, you know?
Yeah, or you just, like... Or like how most people did it. Yeah, you just kind of, like, just fumble your way through and you just figure it out.
Yeah. You don't have to be a master at understanding cooking and understanding what everything does. You just have to be a master... At saying like, okay, well, if I add this with this, I'll get this ideally, and we'll see what happens. That's like that cool part of the game is it's just nonstop learning of new systems and of system exploitation. Death Stranding, like, as a Kojima game, there's 900 fucking Easter eggs in that game that are all gameplay mechanics. So do you know if you whip out your cock and you piss on a BT, you can deal damage to it? It's just like, I love an open world game that's 90 hours of me eventually learning how to be a god at it.
Dude, yeah. And that's why I think you might really fuck with Kenshi.
I think I'll like Kenshi.
Yeah. Because to me, like, what really was compelling about Kenshi is the zero to hero nature of the entire fucking thing. Because, like, I don't think there's a single video game I played where you are more of just a shit dog water character at the start.
I do always cite Breath of the Wild as another like zero to hero type game, but
definitely
Link is still very formidable as a fighter at that point in the game.
I mean, here's the deal: Link can grab a branch and win from the start of the game.
You can't do that.
And Kenji, you have to fucking find a group, run into town, and let the town guards deal with them. To fucking loot their bodies for some fucking scrap. But then, 20 hours go by and you may or may not have amassed a small crew of people and you decide to strike it out on your own in the great wilderness or desert or, many other locales of fucking Kenshi. It's so big. I think, have you ever played a game where you're like, it's like this aspect of gaming is just fucking permanently ruined now. It's like, it'll never be as good as this again.
No, I mean, that happens for me with quite a few games. I remember thinking, like, oddly enough, I remember thinking specifically in open world RPGs that I will never be able to move as fast as I did in Xenoblade Chronicles X, and that sucks. Where, like, running in Xenoblade Chronicles X is the best feeling in the world, because there is no game... I have never played a game where you run faster in my life, and it's... I mean, besides Sonic, obviously. And it's awesome. But, like, where you run faster, and the game is not about running fast. It's just it's just an aspect of the game.
That game, it just goes.
Yeah. It's just... You just happen to run fast in this open world RPG. Like... And I don't need to run fast. And I mean, here's the thing: you run really fast in Metal Gear Solid 5 when you get the sprint upgrade. It's still not as fast. It's
not fast enough. It's not fast enough.
But it's still really fucking fast. It still feels great when you get it. And I thought that would ruin open world movement for me until I played Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I was like, oh, this is fast. And again, a Breath of the Wild. I love to go slow, Sam. I love to jog everywhere and just hear the rattle of my equipment. Oh, it's so good. It's so great. But I would love to run as fast as I did in Xenoblade. That was why I didn't like Xenoblade Chronicles. I started playing it, and Shulk, I do have to impersonate Shulk running. But in that really floaty Japanese way, where like
yeah, he's got that it's like if Sora. If like Sora's steps traveled like twice or three times the length,
far,
like,
yeah,
woo.
Yeah, like it's just, and then there's a pointless jump button where he has the stiffest jump I've ever seen.
Dude, I fucking hate. Nothing pisses me off more, especially in turn-based games, than just a random jump button.
Yeah.
Why?
Nino Kuni has this and it sucks. I genuinely think it's a case of like we couldn't test every single like collision mesh or like collision thing in this large enough game. So having a jump button allows us to make sure you never get stuck.
But like, you're using a face button for this. Like, you're giving up a fucking face button to do bullshit.
To be fair, the amount of games in which there is enough stuff to fit all the face buttons is nil. They're so
dude, Sonic Frontiers is maxed out, dude. That controller needs we need fucking R4 and L4 buttons.
We need the N64 controller, Sam. We need the C buttons back. We need 3 fucking things.
I mean, here's the deal. I don't think we necessarily need 6 face buttons back, but we need to. Our middle fingers, hey gang, we need to start using these more in gaming. Like, we need back paddles to just be a part of fucking controllers and be not just replacements for pressing the bumpers or face buttons when you're on, heavy on the right stick or whatever. You don't want to take it off during like a first person shooter or whatever. It's like, no, all control that Gen 10, PS6, Xbox Series L or whatever the fuck they're going to put out. Like the fucking controller, the base controller better have some back paddles. I swear to God. Because, dude, think about it. Think about your just a regular third-person shooting game, Myles. third-person shooting game. Left trigger's gonna be fucking aim. Right trigger's gonna be fucking shoot. You're probably gonna have reload on one of the face buttons. If your game has jumping, which it probably fucking does, that's gonna be on a fucking face button. Is your game a third-person game like Horizon? It's got like a dodge roll or something like that. That's gonna be a fucking face button. And then at that point, how many more buttons do you got for unique stuff?
And by the way, Sam, I'm going to say, even though there's 3 buttons, one of them is going to be fucking worthless. One of them is going to do nothing but activate prompts or pick things up.
Like one of them's a fucking prompt button or so. It's like, alright, so then you got the bumpers, you got left and right bumper now. It's like, oh, maybe that's a dash and then a grapple hook, and we're out of buttons.
Yeah, we might need a third trigger.
We have 6 fingers that aren't being used to play video games.
Well, that's what the third trigger's for.
Yeah, no, we just need back.
That's what I'm saying with the back buttons. Unless you're talking about literally on the underside of the controller.
I'm talking about
right here.
These bumpers. See these bumpers right here?
Okay, yeah.
This needs to be fucking standard on fucking every controller. At least 1 set of back bumpers. I think a full set of 4 is too much, IMO, personally. I think that's a little much. I don't think that's necessary. But come on, we gotta get our fucking middle fingers.
See, I thought you were talking about a third trigger that is like underneath, like
the Z trigger. No.
Okay.
No. Just back paddles or back bumpers that are their own unique button. That Sam, developers actually use.
I'm gonna hurt you and say that those Sam are gonna become map buttons. Those are going to become the map button.
If those are the fucking map buttons and they were taken off of like the D-pad or like other I don't care what they're used for. I just want the space. I just feel like as far as control schemes go, it's getting a little homogenous. And I just feel like 2 extra buttons on the back that don't require your fingers to be at a because, like, let's be honest, like, you can't fucking, like, it's kind of a faux pas. Like, when, like, Vanquish or, like, Ace Combat ask you to press the bumpers and the triggers at the same time, like, to yaw your plane left and right, use the bumpers in Ace Combat. And then you thrust and brake with the left and right. This is a faux pas. You know, like, if your game has got to be controlled like this, I think that's just kind of fucked up. And back bumpers help alleviate that, where you don't gotta do this shit.
What's good about Vanquish is that it's always gonna be like this. Like, the only time that you're ever gonna get any reaction while sliding, is like, I mean, it is going to be like this, but you're never going to be like this. So, it's fine. So
yeah, it's a left bumper. Is a left bumper in Vanquish or is it right
bumper is the slide, and then left bumper is fire. And while you're sliding, you're automatically like, and you start and you slow down time, you're automatically like in aim. So all you have to do is fire.
Interesting. And then it switches to left bumper for fire?
No, it's left
or
trigger. It's left trigger.
Left trigger is. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, isn't it?
Left trigger, right? It's right trigger is the standard for shooting in every video game. Left trigger is
I might be
for
wrong.
Lock on.
I might be wrong. I might be thinking about the keyboard and mouse controls at this point.
Oh yeah, that might be the case.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about the keyboard and mouse controls at this point. That's my fault. But yeah, keyboard and mouse definitely much more. It's much more ubiquitous for left and right.
Yeah, and also too, and even just with just having like, let's just say it is on the fucking right bumper or whatever. Okay, then I have my middle finger do the fucking slide, and then I can keep my fucking fingers and thumbs on the analog stick and the triggers on the back. I don't think this is a crazy ask. I don't think this is like some crazy thing I'm asking for here. In terms of some baseline controller evolution. I mean, we've been basically gaming on the same type of pad for 15, 20 years at this point. You know?
Yeah,
like, game
really
controllers
changed.
have not really evolved that much since the DualShock. You had the GameCube controller, which is awesome and great. The only problem with the GameCube controller, is when third multi-platform games have PS2 or Xbox style diamond mapping on a controller that has like a fucking cross, like a triangle mapping for buttons. So it's like, you can use B and A and Y and A and X and A like all very comfortably. But Y and B on GameCube controller, like if you're trying to play Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars on the Wii Virtual Console
yeah.
with a GameCube controller like I did back when I was a fucking kid, having to hold the controller. I don't have a GameCube controller, but I literally would play it like this. Yeah, I'd hold fucking Y button with my fucking middle finger and then B to jump with my index, and that's how I fucking played Overworld.
I'm just picturing like like just hunched over carpets on that battle song sucks. I love it. It's not even bad in the context of like that game. It's just really funny because like abstractly, like
that game only has one song people know it for.
No, I would say you're talking about Rost Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment that's the only song people know from it, really. But like it is always funny like that we make fun of certain tracks on this show. And every time. But like there are some songs that kind of deserve ridicule that I just always forget until I hear them again. One that I think deserves ridicule, and this is not even a bad song, and again, it's not a bad song in the context of Super Mario Sunshine, but it's the Hotel Delfino, the do 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 bow wow 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 do 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 do.
This is the Serena Beach Hotel, right?
Yeah, Serena Beach Hotel.
But this is not. And now let's make this clear: this is not the casino theme, right?
No,
this is not the casino theme because the casino theme is awesome.
Obviously, not to be confused with Super Mario Sunshine soundtrack. I can't tell if it's good or bad or not. I truly can't. I think it's appropriate for that game.
I would say it's net good. I'd say it's net good. More good tracks than bad tracks. I mean, dude, Delfino Island, like the Delfino Plaza theme is so good.
You're right. But there's also just a lot of themes that are really funny. Like, if only for one particular part of the theme. The part where in like the red coin challenge when it sounds like someone like taking leather shoes and scraping them against the floor. like that part. Like it does sound like someone has leather shoes on and they're just scuffing them back and forth on like a tiled floor. Like that's a really like bizarre
that whole game track. Is fucking bizarre.
It's very surreal. That's a surreal video game. Yoshiaki Koizumi might be a surrealist. I don't know. But yeah, that's one of the most aggressively weird Mario games.
What the fuck is up with those quacking enemies in Gelato Beach?
Oh, are you talking about Struttin' Stews? Or are you talking
about
that's
a different Cataquacks, that's the name. Those things are fucking crazy. You ever really stare at one of those?
Oh yeah, no,
things?
they're basically a toy. It's like a bath toy.
Is that what it's like supposed to be based on?
I don't know, but I the sound they make, just lots of, I don't know. That whole game just has a lot of like.
Also that enemy you mentioned, the struttering. What is it? Strutting stew as the replacement for the Goomba.
Yeah,
that enemy is like so weird because it's barely in the fucking game and serves as no obstacle to Mario.
Yeah, it's
like the only enemy in that game that is remotely like an enemy in any capacity is the electric shell Koopa.
Yeah,
and like
that's weird.
Yeah, just that enemy. Like the mole guy throws bombs, Monty Mole, I guess, or Mickey Mole or whatever the fuck
Monty Mole.
Monty Mole.
I assume it's still Monty
Is
Mole.
Delfino? Well, is it still Monty Mole, or is it?
I think Monty Moles are
a tropical cousin.
I think they're intergenerational because Monty Moles exist in space. Cataquacks
So do
also
the penguins
exist in space. Yes, they do.
And the Goombas are in space too.
The Goombas are in space, but apparently
all the Mario creatures are in space.
Endemic to they're not. Well, to be fair, some of them are in space because Bowser took them to space with him.
Well, couldn't have Bowser took the Cataquacks with him?
I think he took the. I don't think he took the Cataquacks with him because the Cataquacks are completely neutral. They're completely neutral.
But I just don't like. I mean, how'd they get to fucking Gusty Garden Galaxy?
They're not. Well, they are in Gusty Garden Galaxy, but they're more prominently in Beach Bowl Galaxy. But I think that, space. There's just a lot of different things out in space. How do we not know that
Myles, I got a fucking question. In Mario Galaxy, how do they introduce the super cool UFO ship that kidnaps Peach's castle and brings it to space? And you never go on the fucking UFO, or you never do anything.
Don't you go on the underside of it with the fight with Topsy Turbo or whatever his name is?
It's like a small one. It's not the real one.
The
real one that the real one is much bigger. That's a smaller UFO, but the similar design, or maybe similar model or same model, but definitely smaller in size. You don't go on the real UFO ship. And then they make a fucking sequel to Mario Galaxy 2, and it's like, oh, easy W. We're gonna finally get to go on that UFO ship. And that doesn't fucking happen. In fact, Mario Galaxy 2 has nothing to do with space at all.
That's what always bothers me about Mario Galaxy 2. Mario Galaxy 2 genuinely feels like I know people consider it better, from a pure level design standpoint, than Mario Galaxy. In some ways, I would agree, because it is kind of a perfect platformer, but it's a perfect platformer
It's the Crash Bandicoot shit for me. It's just more linear.
Yeah, that's just what it is. It's a perfect platformer because it's trying less to be about, 3D space and
it's way
gravity.
closer. Galaxy 2 is way closer to Mario 3D World than
same director. That's the same director, which that makes a lot of sense when you hear that. Yoshiaki Koizumi, who directed Super Mario Sunshine, is also the director, and Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, also the director of Super Mario
Jungle
Galaxy.
Beat's sick.
Jungle Beat's
cool
like
game.
a top 10 action platformer from Nintendo.
Oh, okay. I was like top 10 GameCube game, but
maybe not top 10 GameCube game. It may be top 10 GameCube game, but I don't
know.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Top 10 GameCube games, probably for me, no particular order. Melee, Pikmin. I guess I'd throw Sunshine in there.
Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4, fuck yeah. I guess we could throw a remake in there too, why not?
Yeah. Even though you haven't played it, so you probably don't care.
No, I played it for 3 hours.
That's alright, fine.
I played it for 5 hours, aka 45 minutes of game time.
Yeah, of Myles time.
Of progress, 45 minutes of progress.
45 minutes of dumb time. There's an anime called Megalobox, and they
it's the boxing anime where they wear stuff. They wear metal exosuits. They wear the Death Stranding FedEx exoskeletons.
Yeah, but it's on their arms instead of their legs. Well, it's partially on their legs. But there's a character named Mac in he's a fighter in season 2. Season 2 is leagues better than season 1. By the way, it's actually season 2 is amazing. One of the better animes of that year for sure. But they talk about he has a chip in his brain that allows him to slow down time, but it's actually it's being tested on it's some Metal Gear Solid 4 shit where they're testing it out to see its application in battle, keeping people from inhibiting themselves in battle or whatever, and heightening their senses. And they call it Mac time, and when that happened I was like, it's just like Space Jam 2.
It's he activated Dame time.
Yeah, no, it's a Dom
Chronos.
time. Yeah, Chronos.
Dom time. Chronos.
Our king Chronos. We really
do. I'm reading fucking Mashal right now, and the villain of the story summoned to Chronos at one point. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me! He's everywhere.
It's Chronos with his dick sucking lips, We really do need to like that. Maybe that'll be some Birthday Boys content. Is our Space Jam 2 A New Legacy rewatch and commentary. Space Jam 2
A New Legacy. Can we say legacy twice? Like
a new legacy.
The new legacy of Space Jam 2, the 2023 legacy of Space Jam 2, A New Legacy.
Because we're the only people in the world who like the movie, and we have to see if that still holds firm. I mean, it's probably better than Chip and Dale, but how much?
Oh, dude. I mean, dude, because like Chip and Dale's like a fine 4, you know, it's like an inoffensive 4. IMO. Like,
it's like Space Jam 2, but I think we're fans of Space Jam 2.
I had fun watching Space Jam 2. I thought it was a fucking meme, and there's some good fucking moments, dude.
Yeah, it's like...
You can't tell me Kronos fucking stopping time and putting the Roadrunner on a silver platter for Wile E. Coyote is not the funniest shit you've ever seen.
I think that's the problem, is that everyone like wants that movie to represent more than it does. They want it to represent some sort of like death knell of cinema, or like death knell of like meta corporate
People are
stuff.
trying to make it fit that mold, and it just is not quite that.
It's just a stupid movie with like a slight like meta commentary angle to it, where like the joke is like, okay, they're inside of streaming cyberspace, whatever.
They're inside of HBO Max.
Like it would be the same thing if they were inside of a computer and it was all internet themed. Disney made a movie like that, and people apparently respected it when they did it. But
yeah, and that's my whole problem. Is like, it's like, you know, Disney does it and nobody bats an eye.
I want to say this because I did want to talk about Disney. That was the thing where I realized, you know what, Sam does not want to talk about this, but I do want to talk about Disney because it's funny to make fun of them. But like,
I do like making fun of them.
Every single like person working at Disney has a problem with their mom or their dad, and now that's just every movie that they're making is generational trauma. The movie where it's just like I'm sorry if you had a fight with your dad 15 years ago. Have you considered getting over it? Like
with Bennett Foddy.
With Bennett Foddy. Bennett Foddy would be like, what makes films uncreative is when people don't let go of their trauma and instead turn it into movies. Like that's like what every like Disney. I mean, here's the thing: like Turning Red does this, and I like Turning Red, even though I made fun of it.
Turning Red's about this. El Canto's about this in like a major way. Yeah, it's actually about a fucking family.
It's entirely about it. But then Strange Worlds, the movie that no one likes, is also about this. And it's like Turning Red and Encanto, I think, are good films. I think they're good films because they're different enough from what Disney and Pixar normally do that they don't piss me off. You see the Elemental trailer and you just want to die. Like again, the Turning Red trailer is terrible. The Turning Red trailer is fucking awful, but it doesn't communicate what that movie's going to be. And then when you watch the movie, it's fun and it's good. It's like a 6 out of 10, but that's better than I could say about any Pixar movie in the last 10 years. But like fucking Strange Worlds is like the most like limp dick. This is the best way I can describe it, Sam. It's discourse liberal. Where these people are not, they're not reducing their carbon footprint. They're not recycling. They're not donating their money to their political platform of choice, which you shouldn't anyways. Don't be a simp. They're not campaigning for important things. They're not paying for Planned Parenthood like I am, and I'm not bragging about that. I got solicited by a Planned Parenthood person, and I said, you know what?
I was trafficked into paying them $50.
And I said, you know what? This issue is important to me, and I make a lot of fucking money. Yeah, I'll kick $15 your way once a month. They asked me recently, hey, you know, that bill just got passed. You want to raise your donation? Yeah, I'll raise my donation. I have expendable income. I'll raise my donation for Planned Parenthood. It's like, I'm not a great guy. This doesn't make me a great guy, but what it does make me is someone who isn't on Twitter tweeting about how important pro-abortion laws or pro-choice laws are, and then doing nothing. Or, you know, it's like, so that's what a discourse liberal is. A discourse liberal is someone who just...
I know the type well.
Yeah, who just makes sure
well versed in the art.
Who just makes sure that you know what they're about. And they make sure you know what they're about because you will never see them actually be about it otherwise. You will simply never. And here's the thing. I'm sure that no one would have thought Myles J donates to Planned Parenthood. I'm sure no one thought that, because what fucking thing about me gives the impression that this is an important issue to me? That pro-choice is an important issue to me. I have my opinions and I have my reasons, and you know what? Like, it was also a crime of opportunity, and they happen to be outside of my job campaigning. They happen to get my attention, and I said,
the girl happened to be cute, you know?
Yeah, and the girl was very cute, and I said, you know what? Yeah, I care about this issue. This is a good idea. I'll donate. Why not? And I have done nothing but let them suck from my bank account for the last 4 years ever since. I'm not a great person for paying money for monthly donations to Planned Parenthood. I would never be on Twitter and be like, it's one of the most important issues, and you can tell because I donate money to Planned Parenthood. It's just like, if anything, there's something funny about the fact that I seem so, like, disinterested and apolitical, and yet, like, that's like a stance that I actually put my money behind. But like, Strange Worlds is about climate change and resource exploitation and global warming and gay people and familial trauma. And is that not the most discourse liberal movie you've ever heard?
Sounds like a movie I don't want to watch.
It sounds. You remember when everyone was telling you to watch Don't Look Up? You remember that dark era of human history?
Dude, okay, That's that stupid fucking movie about the moon falling.
The meteor, yeah, there's a meteor.
Or is that Moon? I'm sorry, that's Moonfall.
by Roland Emmerich. Very different film tonally.
By Hal Emmerich.
By Huey Emmerich, my personal favorite Emmerich.
More of a Emma Emmerich guy myself.
We managed to avoid
drowning with her anytime.
It's you who's wrong, Snake. You're not reducing your carbon footprint.
That's a load of crap. Just bring him back to Mother Base. Now, hold on. We could be doing more about our carbon footprint here at Mother Base. We have weapons to develop.
Dude, oh man, bro. Dude, the Revolver Ocelot telling me that we could do something to reduce our carbon footprint took my breath away. Cause like, you hear that's real. That sounds like a real line from Metal Gear Solid 5. It's like Kojima would pull that shit. Kojima would pull that shit about reducing your carbon footprint.
He would.
If he had more time.
Kojima
in Act 3 of the game.
2005 or in 2002 would do that. I think he's past environmentalism as like a theme. It's not in his purview anymore. Like,
no,
he's onto humanist stuff now. That's his big thing. He's really big into the human condition.
Should we have connected?
Oh, hey, man.
No, we shouldn't have, because we gave everyone COVID. Ba-bum.
That's probably the plot of MGS2. There's a couple like really great Ocelot lines in MGS5. One of my favorites is when he mentions that Kaz is in Afghanistan, and Venom's like, Afghanistan? And he goes, what? Couldn't keep up with world events in a coma? Like, that's great. Like,
what a dick.
Yeah, like, because he's just like a fucking course you would react that way. You don't know anything. It's been 9 years.
Yeah, Troy Baker kind of got fucked by like the weird, just kind of like being given a weird direction for Ocelot not being like any of the other fucking games.
Yeah, I think it was a case of like, this is just who Ocelot is when he's not playing a role. Like, that's kind of the profound part of that character, like, as stupid as that sounds, is that, like, we've never actually seen Ocelot, like, doing a job where he's not double, triple, quadruple crossing everyone. And so, like, when he's actually, like, loyal, he's pretty normal.
He's pretty, like, a normal guy.
Yeah, he's just a normal guy, and I kind of love that. I kind of love that about that game. Where, like, he's
always like, boss, your body count. Like,
yeah. Like, where he's just a completely, like, decent, normal human, as opposed to Kaz, who's, like, insane.
A freak.
Yeah, he's, like, Kaz
I love Kaz because he's just a fucking maniac.
I prefer Kaz because he's so mad and so, like, done. Like, every single thing in that game...
Kaz sounds like he's gonna turn on you with every sentence he says.
He
sounds like he's this close away from just, like, ending it all.
And by the way, he does at the end of the game, but it's not you. It's Big Boss, who is not you. So he does, but he's got a lot of like lines that I love. Like when he says, when Huey's like, we should take the walker gear, and he's like, ignore him. We don't need any of his wind-up toys. Like, just like he's so like, fuck this guy, and then Ocelot's like, it is a long way. There's that whole game script is just burned into my brain. There's all these like,
which is funny because it's like the least like.
Well, that's why it's burned into my brain.
Interesting.
Because there's so many. Well, because there's so many like that game has some of his best writing. The problem is it's in service of one of his like least like present stories. There's just not a lot happening in the story at like for the length of the game. It uses
a lot of like modern video game storytelling tropes of like doing stuff through codec or like voice memos.
Yeah.
Or having stuff to like read and stuff. It being that it's Kojima, that stuff's pretty high quality, but the way it's implemented is you have to really go out of your way to listen to it.
Yeah,
or engage with it.
That's the big problem with it, especially because and Death Stranding I think did the right thing of making a lot more of that up front, and then a lot of the codec stuff like that is just it's like codecs in the original MGS. It's the juicy bits, it's the meat. You know, it's the marrow of the bone. You go in and you up the marrow. And by the way, I love Death Stranding, and I've like never read any of those emails because they don't interest me. I don't care.
Yeah, that's my thing with fucking like Death Stranding, because I kind of want to get back to it. There's some other stuff I want to get around to playing, but like sometime either this year or early next, I want to give Death Stranding yet another shake. I just feel like it's that time. And I need a reason to use my DualSense Edge.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great for the DualSense Edge.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait. What do you think I should have mapped to my back buttons? To bring that back.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, that I would actually recommend. You could probably like the compass is really awkwardly done. I think in that game, you could probably map the compass to the back button.
How do you map the
the compass is like the compass is like really weird. It's like up on the D-pad or something. Like I don't know. It's like bizarre. Like I think you have to hold two buttons even to activate the compass. It's like complete like whatever. So
weird.
I highly recommend. Yeah, that's a good button to bump it to. That could also be good for the Odra deck if you want. The Odra deck, which you press R1 with, that could be good. You could also press it to soothe BB. I think like to pull out BB and soothe him, because that's another like hold one button, press another button prompt. I think it's you hold like R1 and press down or something. It's been a while since I've done this. Like, if
I might just have them be the bumpers.
Yeah.
Because that way, because having your fingers at the ready on LT and RT to save yourself from a fucking tumble is probably
that's really
pretty
important.
good.
Yeah.
But like my big, I'm not gonna lie with you, Myles. I gotta just keep it a buck with you, dude. Like the game, I'm actually like super excited about all the fucking gameplay, but I'm like, oh god, I don't want to fucking sit through the story again, dude. Like I don't want to sit through this.
I actually
shit.
I would recommend that you like skip the cutscenes like up to the point that you got to last time. The problem is that the story doesn't like really hit the point where it's like really like interesting and like weird and cool until you get to chapter 3. Like, and you're still in chapter 2 where the story is
probably I think where I left off.
The story in chapter 2 is like so like direct and so like just like it's just telling you like what you need to understand. It's very similar to like when the King roams scene in Breath of the Wild, when you get to the top of the Temple of Time, when he's just like, yeah, here's what happened in the Calamity. Like, but that's one scene, and once you do it, you never have to hear about the Calamity again. It's like,
exactly, that's great. That's great. You know, where with this game, it's like it's just about a lot of esoteric shit.
Chapter 2 is like all that, and then chapter 3 through like the rest of the game is like all character stuff.
Because like at least in like Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, Snake and Raiden are like invading a base of some kind. So like the basic fucking plot is like, oh, okay, I understand. And then you can follow and you can just pick up on everything and you can enjoy the characters. Where like, since the world of Death Stranding is so unique and out there and different, it's like I just want to fucking get out of here and walk around and see Ireland for myself, you know? Like,
yeah, that's the big problem, is that chapter 2 literally is just explaining to you how the Death Stranding like happened and how they plan to fix the world after the Death Stranding. Chapter 3 is like once you get to chapter 3, it's just like, okay, well, you already know the Knot Cities are a thing. Chapter 3 is interesting because you get preppers, and preppers are people who like they're like doomsday preppers. They live independent of the United States. They don't answer to the government, and so you basically
they're off the grid.
Yeah, they're off the grid, and they want to get them on the grid to share in the chiral network. And a lot of them like don't trust you, like so they won't get on the chiral network immediately. Some of them will
until you do an activity or two for them.
No, and sometimes they won't even get on the chiral network until you deliver for them like a bunch of times and get their rating a certain degree up. But they will share their chiral bandwidth with you, which allows you to at least like build structures.
All the gameplay shit's so fucking cool in Death Stranding. I like love all the gameplay shit. It's just a lot of like the surrounding aspects of it. I'm like I was not crazy about, and it's such a
that's
fucking section. It's such a chunk of the experience.
That's
like,
when you get to like once you get to chapter 3 and you meet the preppers, and a lot of them like they have like they have like opinions about the U.S. government, like or about even like some of the characters in the cast. The characters start to become a lot like. They start to talk to you like about themselves and their own people. Like right now, it's basically just you, Die Hardman, and Amelie, and they're like the most boring characters in the game. Die Hardman later on has some really great stuff, but like that's towards the end of the game.
Whereas, hey, can't forget about Dead Man.
Dead Man becomes like the homie like of the game. He is like the Otacon of Death Stranding. But yeah, like chapter 3 is when the story stops being about like the world of Death Stranding and like here's how we gotta fix it, and it starts becoming about like people and characters and like a lot of the weird like it becomes about the weird people that occupy this world, and it's fun and it's good.
Yeah, it's good. No, I'm gonna.
But
give
chapter 2 is definitely like I always tell people get out of chapter 2. Chapter 2 is a fucking purgatory. Get out of it.
Yeah, because on my second playthrough, when I did get to chapter 2, I just got really into building the road. I'm like, oh man, I gotta build the road.
Well, you got into chapter 3 from the sound of it. Because that's when you build the road. Chapter 3 is when you could start building the road.
Okay. I guess I did. I remember fighting a boss that took like 15 minutes.
That's after you finished chapter 2. Yeah, so you got to chapter 3, and then you probably stopped at like chapter 3.
Yeah, I built the road, and I was driving my motorcycle on the road. That was fun. It's all battery solar powered. That's fucking sick.
Yeah, so it's all juiced up.
Yeah, it's great. Keeps your bike all nice and 100% battery ready. To hit the real streets, the real
road.
dirt. Just being out there in the fucking gloomy ass Greenland, United States, Iceland, United States.
Bro, I just can't wait for Death Stranding 2. Like
you mean DS2?
Sorry, DS2. I just can't wait for DS2 because it's like that game needed a sequel. I was against the idea of a sequel narratively speaking, but mechanically it needed a sequel. Because Death Stranding is a great first outing. It's Breath of the Wild. It's like, all right, we can do better. We can do better. What's next?
Did you ever play Director's Cut?
No, I still haven't.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? I know I'd like it. It's just Death Stranding, but better. Like
Death Stranding with more stuff.
Yeah, with more stuff. And like
Death Stranding with cars.
There's
with
not
car
enough
racing.
There's just
with
not
racing
enough substantial changes like that. I can imagine it would just make it suck. It's not like how people talk about like the Majora's Mask 3DS remake, where it's like all the stuff that people actually like about the game is just not there. What other remakes are like that, where it's just completely like wrong?
Like Twin Snakes.
Yeah, Twin Snakes is a great example. Where all the stuff that people like is just it's missing.
Yeah, well, with director's cut, it's just like it just added in a bunch of like new things.
Yeah, it's like new toys to play with. It is very much like
I could see like fundamentally changing some aspects. I could see it making some like individual sections or moments easier or harder, maybe based on some changes, but nothing beyond that.
If you use Buddy Bot in one particular spot of the game, which you probably can't because it's off the chiral network, I would imagine that part would just suck for me. There's a really great part in Death Stranding that's like so like it's so against the player in a way that isn't even hard. It's just like grueling and testing. Like you want it to be over, and then when it's over,
is this when you got to walk up the mountain?
Yeah, when you have to walk up the mountain without the all-terrain skeleton. And it's like, it's the slowest, most arduous thing. And again, any other game would have handed you that all-terrain skeleton before you even fucking set foot on the snow. And
It's
instead,
like, no, you're gonna learn how much it sucks to not have this.
yeah, and they only make you do it for one mission. It's not excessive. And the mission's not even
But it's
hard.
enough.
It's just
enough to stick with you.
It's enough to make you understand, like, oh, this could be worse, and I should be grateful for this tool. As opposed to every other game, where it's just like, yeah, here it is. This is how you make the segment functional.
Yeah, it's good. But, yeah, well, if you guys are thankful for these tools, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Follow us on iTunes and Spotify. Send it to your friends. And leave a comment and all that stuff. I'm good. I don't got anything else to say. Myles, got any final words for the people before we get out of here?
Michael Jackson didn't do it.